Now batting for the Tigers, the former Eagle, number 1, Glenn Fry, number 1.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back.
'Cause it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. 'Cause it's
1, 2, and 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Babe Ruth steps in now to face the youthful Tom Seaver. Here's the windup. The pitch. Ruth hits a shot to deep center. That could be gone. Mays going back. He caught it. What a catch. Holy cow.
take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Now here we go. Sitting back thinking about a great ball game. CBS All Stars and all of that thing, man. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
This is the key spot in the ball game. Joe DiMaggio digging in. Nolan Ryan getting his side. The pitch. Joe swings. A drive going deep to left field. It might be out of here. Barry Bonds going back. Still going back. It could be. He makes a sensational catch. What a play!
Ow! Look at here. Even James Brown has to stop for this. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The All Star Game is next on CBS Sports.
I did my game. Oh, baby.
Well, it is an old ball game, the 64th edition of these All-Star get-togethers, and we're all delighted to take you out to baseball's newest jewel of a stadium, Oriole Park at Camden Yards. And oh, sure, you can buy yourself, maybe us, some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, but here in Baltimore, out there behind the outfield, why not sample the crab cake, snow cones, maybe a little good old-fashioned barbecue, and then get set to join the crowd and root for the All-Stars of baseball's Midsummer's Night Dream. It's coming your way, folks. Hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, and welcome to the 1993 All-Star Game here on CBS Sports. And here in the hometown of Babe Ruth, we are all sultans of sweat. Right now, it's a steamy 88 degrees, getting a little bit of a break. It's been 100 over the weekend, 88 right now. The Bambino, who won the first All-Star Game 60 years ago with a home run, would have been proud of this year's All-Stars. For example, Ken Griffey Jr., who won last year's All-Star Game MVP award, now has pennant dreaming fans, well, sleepless in Seattle. Barry Bonds, who could be headed for his 3rd National League MVP trophy in 4 years, will go behind the scenes with Barry here in Baltimore a little later on in the pregame show here. And Big Cecil Fielder has made an impact on baseball that's as mammoth as his home runs. Now he's trying to become the first player ever to lead the majors in runs batted in for 4 straight years. While the steady old pro Ryne Sandberg will become the first major league second baseman to start in 9 All-Star games. And they got smiles on their faces here in Baltimore. When you think All-Stars, you think Cal Ripken Jr. The Orioles' iron shortstop hasn't missed a game, including an All-Star game, in over a decade. Here's our colleague Jim Cott. Kitty?
In baseball, we call it the streak. Cal Ripken Jr. in about, June of 1995 will break Lou Gehrig's record for the all-time consecutive games played. It's amazing to me that some in baseball, even some in uniform, have criticized this streak, saying that your streak might be detrimental to the play of the Orioles. Your reaction?
Well, I personally don't believe it's detrimental to the Orioles. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. I just have to go out and try to make my choices. I have to do what I believe is right, and I've always played the game. I've always gone out to play the game each and every game, and the managers have always let me. So I don't know how to react to that. I mean, I think it's for the good. I do it because I believe in it. Maybe I'll sit back after it's all over and regret having done so.
On an emotional scale, where does this game tonight rank when tonight you go out there and you're introduced as the all-star shortstop in your ballpark?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been a little antsy, a little nervous. This is my 11th All-Star game. I shouldn't be nervous by this stage of the game, but this is your home ballpark. This is my hometown. Maybe it's for those reasons I'm a little nervous.
Cal Ripken Jr. as much a fixture in Baltimore as that Broma Seltzer tower right outside Camden Yards.
And out there beyond the center field fence is the landmark Bromo Seltzer Tower Cal and Kitty were talking about. It was built in 1908. Gary Sheffield, now with the Florida Marlins in a trade from San Diego, and Mike Piazza brought back the San Francisco Giants in the National League dugout there, getting ready for their All-Star game. 2 years ago, Cal Ripken blasted 12 home runs to win the home run derby up in Toronto. Yesterday, it was a pair of 23-year-old outfielders who dominated the derby. Some of the game's biggest bombers were on hand, but this year's contest boiled down to Juan Gonzalez of Texas, who was the first batter to hit the third deck. Going Gonzalez, 473 feet. And Ken Griffey Jr., who also made Oriole Park history, becoming the first man to hit the B&O Warehouse on the fly. But in a second extra inning, it was Gonzalez who won the duel, and Griffey who was the runner-up. But the real winners were the fans, who will talk about the time they saw history at Camden Yards. Earlier this evening here at Camden Yards, about 200 members of the Rainbow Commission for Fairness in Athletics, led by the Reverend Jesse Jackson, engaged in what they called informational picketing to protest what they claim is Major League Baseball's lack of affirmative action programs. And on deck here, Tom Selleck, Bill Murray, and Michael Jordan. We'll see how they did at bat when our coverage of the 64th Major League Baseball All-Star Game rolls on from the warehouse to your house here on CBS. Stay with us. You too, Tommy.
The 1993 Baseball All-Star pregame show is sponsored by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Subway, the place where fresh is the taste. And by Coca-Cola Classic, always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola.
Save now on Goodyear for a limited time only. Save on selected Goodyear passenger car radials. Save on selected Goodyear Eagles for performance cars. And on selected Goodyear Wranglers for light trucks and vans. The time is now. The savings are big. The name is Goodyear.
This year, Subway will climb up to become the second largest restaurant chain in North America behind McDonald's. Our dedication to making fresh sandwiches paid off. We thought we'd celebrate by climbing North America's second tallest mountain. So here we are, every Subway owner. Don't worry, we've got safety ropes. To thank you, we're having a 2-cent sale. Everyone who buys a medium or large soft drink automatically wins delicious Subway food for just 2 cents. Hey, look, a penny. I'm halfway there.
Come in and win. It's the 2-cent sale at Subway.
Kids couldn't play ball at this park, but this 4th of July, something happened. This field became a diamond once again, because for every home run hit in Major and Minor League Baseball on July 4th, Coca-Cola Homers for America donated $5,000 to build and renovate youth league parks all over America. And these fields are hearing a sound they haven't heard for a while.
Ready, kids?
Ready, Mr. Fielder?
Play ball!
Introducing Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant. A clear, clean, powerful gel. It goes on smoothly with no white residue to form an invisible barrier of protection. New Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
Can you imagine going one-on-one with Michael Jordan? You know the accusations. Do you think you have a gambling problem at all? Now, meet the man. And how much do you really know about your doctor?
He told me he was a physician in Mexico.
Unlicensed doctors and unlikely cures. A hidden camera investigation.
Eye to Eye with Connie Chung, Thursday.
Yesterday, some other All-Stars took the field. Bill Murray signed on for Steve Avery, while Patrick Ewing posted up Randy Johnson, and his Royal Airness was on hand.
You nervous? Yeah, I'm real nervous, man. Look at all these people, man.
Here's Bill Murray's groundhog move. He earned his stripes, pinstripes. Michael Jordan put up an air ball that alley-ooped into the outfield to applause. And watch Tom Selleck give this pitch a magnum wallop. He was the only celebrity to clear the fence. Then Mr. Baseball was upstaged by Mr. October, celebrity batting coach Reggie Jackson. As the crowd called his name, Reggie touched every base and rounded his way toward Cooperstown, where he'll be inducted 19 days from now. Another homer from Reggie. Just as Reggie was colorful, controversial, and often bigger than the game, so too is today's dominant lefty slugger Barry Bonds. The giant among all-stars has had to learn to cope with the pressures of fortune, fame, and notoriety. We followed Barry Bonds to the All-Star Game to see what it's like from his perspective.
Mr. Bond, can I get an autograph, please, Mr. Bond?
As soon as Barry Bonds hit town, everybody in town seemed to try to hit on him. Mr. Bonds, sign this, please. Mr. Bonds, a couple of questions, please. Mr. Bonds, smile for the camera, please. Mr. Bonds, Mr. Bonds, oh, Mr. Bonds.
Let me take my beautiful wife with me, Go-Go, because we're going
8:45.
We're going to check in. 8:45 downstairs.
Sunday night, time for Barry and his wife's son to relax with some teammates, some friends, and some dinner in Little Italy. Then the clock struck midnight.
We're out of here, guys. Yeah. We got a lot of catching up to do.
Barry would spend Monday trying to figure out the friendly confines of Camden Yards.
Where's the locker room?
It's right here.
Other National Leaguers shared his plight.
I'm lost, baby. I'm lost. I am too, man. Hey, now we're here. Now we can discuss this problem we seem to have. What is wrong with you, man? Why are you always walking me?
Just go like this. Bye-bye.
Mind that. He didn't.
Hey, Barry. How you doing? Say hello to Patrick over there.
Hey, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
And then came the media. They had him surrounded. That is until there was a fielder's choice.
Back-to-back y'all guys.
He's swinging good, though.
That's good, though.
You go ahead and hold conference, man. I'm going to get out your way.
Oh, all right, dude.
All right.
I'm going to go out there as soon as I can. I'm trying to, but trying not to be rude so they can have something good to write about.
You were playing so players and peers and guys like me, him and Willie and Joe T say, that boy is one of us. And that's what I'm glad for. You got a chance to take over baseball, right? You know how to talk, speak well.
He wants to give so much. He's always very giving, and people don't see that, and they call him names. He doesn't have it with words. He shows it with action.
All in all, it's been great, huh?
Yeah, it's been great. This is fun. This is a nice ballpark. Can I see it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey! Fun. Japanese fans? Hi, Japanese fans. Love it. I'm out of here.
As you saw, even Reggie thinks that Barry Bonds has the potential to take over the game, but for all his individual achievements, he's still looking to put together that postseason performance worthy of Mr. October. Well, a sad note in sports today. Stock car racer Davey Allison died this morning after the helicopter he was piloting crashed yesterday in the infield of the Talladega Speedway down in Alabama. Allison, who won the 1992 Daytona 500, was part of a great racing family, and we offer the family our condolences. Davey Allison, a great champion and a good friend of ours, was 32.
Performax from Pennzoil. New synthetic motor oil with Pennzoil's exclusive star molecule. Protects engine parts at ignition. Works like liquid ball bearings. Hangs tough during the most extreme driving conditions. Flows in severe cold. Performax from Pennzoil. Keeps it cool in extreme heat. Performax from Pennzoil. Fights against failure at friction max out. Performax. Protects to the max.
You'll never get Wally out of a house cooled by Carrier. And while he stays cool, you save money. Because Carrier air conditioners are so energy efficient, they can cut your cooling bills by up to 40%. So stay cool, save money, call Carrier. We're the inside guys.
The secret to a strong finish is endurance. Introducing High Endurance, new from Old Spice. A breakthrough deodorant that doesn't wear out like the other guys. Here's proof. This is a day's worth of our deodorant. See how it outlasts the leading stick even after 24 hours? Now that's endurance. For the longest lasting, hardest working, the best deodorant stick, demand proof. Get new High Endurance from Old Spice. You won't go far without it.
Dan O'Brien?
Okay, Dan. I'll show you to your truck.
Do our new computerized reservations make renting from Ryder faster than ever?
What's that name again? Dave!
No contest.
Do you have a problem with food sticking to your barbecue? Just spray all-natural Pam on a cold grill, and your problem will go away. Pam makes summer less sticky.
Preview the hottest picks in entertainment, and you can win some cool prizes. Hot Picks, only at Blockbuster Video. It's a free rental from CBS and Blockbuster Video.
From the day he rode into town, things would never be the same. Coming soon to CBS, Lead Blessing.
Welcome back to the All-Star City, Baltimore, Maryland, and as distinctive and familiar as the Charm City skyline is, the venerable voice of Baltimore baseball, who will be enshrined.
Now is the time to introduce the 1993 National League All-Stars. The trainers from the Houston Astros, Dave Lavoisier. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Gene Geiselman. The additional coaches from the Atlanta Braves, Jimmy Williams, Pat Corrales, and Leo Mazzoni, who is in the bullpen. The coaches from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Tommy Lasorda. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Jim Fregosi. And now the 1993 National League All-Stars. From the Atlanta Braves, shortstop Jeff Blauser. Pitchers John Schmaltz.
No. Come on.
Steve Avery. And Tom Glavine. From the Cincinnati Reds, outfielder Bobby Kelly. From the Colorado Rockies, first baseman Andre Galarraga. From the new Florida Marlins, pitcher Ryan Harvey. From the Houston Astros, pitcher Darryl Kyle. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, catcher Mike Piazza. From the New York Mets, outfielder Bobby Bonilla.
I can boot everywhere. What did I tell you, huh? Just boot me everywhere.
From the Philadelphia Phillies, third baseman Dave Collins. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, shortstop Jay Bell. And elected starter, now injured, Andy Van Slyke. From the St. Louis Cardinals, first baseman Greg Jeffers.
Shorty.
And pitcher Lee Smith.
No, I'm pretty short too, sir.
From the San Diego Padres, outfielder Tony Gwynn. And pitcher Andy Bennett. From the San Francisco Giants, second baseman Robbie Thompson. Pitchers John Burkett and Rod Beck. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the National League. First, the manager of the National League, from the National League champion Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. Leading off, the center fielder, from the Montreal Expos, Marquise Grissom. Batting second, the left fielder, from the San Francisco Giants, Barry Bonds. Batting third, the third baseman, from the Florida Marlins, Gary Sheffield.
Good night. Come on. Go.
Batting fourth, the first baseman, from the Philadelphia Phillies, John Kruk. Batting fifth, the shortstop, from the Cincinnati Reds, Barry Larkin. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, from the Chicago Cubs, Mark Grace. Batting seventh, the right fielder, from the Atlanta Braves, David Justice. Batting eighth, the catcher, from the Philadelphia Phillies, Darren Dalton. Batting ninth, the second baseman, from the Chicago Cubs, Ryne Sandberg. And doing the pitching, from the Philadelphia Phillies, Terry Mulholland. And now, the 1993 American League All Stars. First of all, the trainers, from the Baltimore Orioles, Richie Mansell. And from the Oakland Athletics, Barry Weinberg. The additional coaches in the bullpen, from the Toronto Blue Jays, Galen Cisco and John Sullivan and Gene Tennis. The coaches, from the Baltimore Orioles, Johnny Oates. And from the Detroit Tigers, Sparky Anderson. Now, the 1993 American League All-Stars. From the Baltimore Orioles, pitcher Mike Mussina. From the Boston Red Sox, third baseman Scott Cooper. From the Chicago White Sox, pitcher Jack McDowell. And first baseman Frank Thomas. From the Cleveland Indians, outfielder Albert Bell. And second baseman Carlos Baerga. From the Detroit Tigers, shortstop Travis Fryman. And first baseman Cecil Fielder. From the Kansas City Royals, pitcher Jeff Montgomery. From the Milwaukee Brewers, outfielder Greg Vaughn. From the Minnesota Twins, pitcher Rick Aguilera. And from the New York Yankees, pitcher Jimmy Key. From the Oakland Athletics, catcher Terry Steinbach. From the Seattle Mariners, pitcher Randy Johnson. From the Texas Rangers, outfielder Juan Gonzalez. From the Toronto Blue Jays, outfielder Devon White. And pitchers Dwayne Ward and Pat Henkin. And now, the starting lineup for the American League. First, the manager of the American League from the world champion Toronto Blue Jays, Cito Gaston. Leading off, the second baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays, Roberto Alomar. Batting second, the designated hitter from the Toronto Blue Jays, Paul Molitor. Batting third, the center fielder from the Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr. Batting fourth, playing right field from the Toronto Blue Jays, Joe Carter. Batting fifth, the first baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays, John Olerud. Batting sixth, the left fielder from the Minnesota Twins, Kirby Puckett. Batting seventh, the shortstop from the Baltimore Orioles, Cal Ripken. From the New York Yankees, Wade Boggs. Batting ninth, the catcher from the Texas Rangers, Ivan Rodriguez. And doing the pitching from the California Angels, Mark Langston, who is warming up in the bullpen. There you have them, ladies and gentlemen, baseball's 1993 All-Stars. And now, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the color guards from the Marine Barracks, Annapolis, Maryland, and the junior ROTC participants of Baltimore's Walbrook High School. Now we ask you to rise as we pause for a moment to pay tribute to 4 Hall of Famers who died this year. Please observe a moment of silence in memory of Charlie Gehringer, Johnny Mize, Roy Campanella, and Don Drysdale. Thank you. Now please remain standing as we welcome the lead singer of the rock group Rush as he honors his native land with his presentation of the Canadian national anthem. Please welcome Mr. Geddy Lee.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Ladies and gentlemen, the War of 1812 included a fierce battle at Fort McHenry, just a few miles from here. Aboard a ship off Fort McHenry, Francis Scott Key watched the battle. So moved was he that his thoughts became our national anthem. Here to recite those words, accompanied by the Morgan State University Choir, directed by Dr. Nathan Carter, one of America's finest actors. A Baltimore welcome for Mr. James Earl Jones.
Early light, but so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
It's all happening here in Baltimore tonight. We've got everything from Francis Scott Key to Jimmy Key. And our CBS Sports coverage of the 64th Major League Baseball All-Star Game will continue after a word from your very own local station.
Later this summer, a new world of late-night television begins on CBS.
Think of it as a mini-series that never ends.
Starting August 30th, same Dave, better time, new station.
Is someone frying bologna?
This is CBS.
When I slide into home, it's like two trains colliding. I'm the big train.
All men are created equal. Some just work harder in the preseason.
Dear Wendy, summer vacation's great. Yesterday, I did some fishing and then cooked dinner over a campfire. Luckily, there was a Wendy's nearby. I was able to get a quarter-pound double-stacked cheeseburger on the super value menu for just 99 cents. With a 99-cent Biggie drink and Biggie fries, I was full. Tomorrow, I'm going to Disney World. Love, Dad.
Now win your vacation at Disney World from Wendy's and Coca-Cola. Wendy's Super Summer Splash. Peel and you could win a family vacation instantly.
Running a small business was driving me crazy, Susan. So smart me, I call Illinois Bell. Harry, I added more lines, call forwarding, and bingo! More customers can reach me, even in my car. And Brenda, with voicemail, I never miss a call. And Jack, with three-way calling, I'm always in touch with the office and my customers. Tony, business is so good, it's driving me crazy. But hey, who's complaining?
For helpful advice, call us first. Illinois Bell is Ameritech.
A stalker has Gary residents living in fear. We'll tell you why after the game.
Welcome back to Baltimore, Maryland, and the 64th Baseball All-Star Game. Right now, it's time to turn over the proceedings to Sean McDonough and Tim McCarver. And gentlemen, good evening. I know that most of the players who make the All-Star Game get bonuses from $10,000 to $100,000 for being selected. My bonus is simply hearing you guys call the play-by-play. Should be a great time. Up to you, Sean.
Thank you, Pat, and good evening, everyone. And somehow, Tim, I think Pat would rather have the $100,000 All-Star bonus that Kirby Puckett will receive.
So would I.
For being here tonight. That is the largest All-Star bonus. And certainly if the game can match the pregame festivities, what a show we'll have here tonight. Let's size up these two rosters, Tim. They seem to reflect the style of play we generally associate with the two leagues.
Well, I think so, Sean. The faces change. After all, there are 22 new ones on the rosters. But the formula remains the same. It's going to be speed for the National League, and they're going to have to utilize that to win, and power for the American League. How powerful is that American League roster? Well, only one of the top 8 home run hitters in the American League's in the starting lineup. 5 are on the bench, guys like Cecil Fielder, Juan Gonzalez, Albert Bell, and Frank Thomas. So as far as fireworks are concerned, I think you're going to see them from the American League later as opposed to sooner.
And that American League squad is trying to make it 6 wins in a row for the junior circuit. We'll have the first pitch of the All-Star Game from Baltimore right after this.
CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Game from Baltimore is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. The people at Nike, who encourage you to just do it. And by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
We treat those trucks like we're going to buy each one. We build them like we're going to buy the next one coming off the line. We build a world-class truck. We care. We care what we share. We care what people buy. Because if we didn't care, they'd never be back. I know what we build. And I know when they buy a Chevy, they're buying a good truck.
Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Tony Gregory, Cincinnati, Ohio, 83,000 miles. Sandy Carlton, Acworth, Georgia, 98,000 miles. Jim
Bobbitt, Broomall, Pennsylvania, 110,000 miles. We can't promise you the very same mileage these Michelin owners got. But we can promise you this, the very same peace of mind. Michelin.
Monroe introduces road sensing technology. A new breed of Monroe shocks and struts that give you added control. New road sensing shocks and struts, only by Monroe. Designed to adjust automatically to give you added control without sacrificing comfort. Now, comfort and control are automatic. New road sensing technology, only by Monroe.
This may seem like any other day, but it's not. Because now people will be able to talk to one another in a brand new way. That's because across the U.S. and Canada, leading cellular communications companies have joined together to create MobileLink, a new standard in cellular service. So now, whenever you need to stay in touch, MobileLink will make it as simple as a phone call. MobileLink. Hello. It's simply the way to communicate. To order service today, call your MobileLink provider.
Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore in its second season as home of the Baltimore Orioles, and tonight the site of the 64th Major League Baseball All Star Game. The starting lineup tonight for the National League: Marquise Grissom of Montreal in center field, San Francisco's Barry Bonds in left, Gary Sheffield of Florida at third base. The cleanup hitter, the Phillies' John Kruk at first base. Cincinnati's Barry Larkin is the shortstop. Mark Grace of the Cubs is the DH, batting sixth. David Justice of Atlanta in right field hits seventh. The catcher is Darren Dalton of Philadelphia, batting eighth. And the Cubs' Ryne Sandberg is the second baseman, batting ninth.
The defense for the American League, the same as last year in San Diego. Kirby Puckett will be the left fielder. Ken Griffey Jr., last year's most valuable player, in center field. Joe Carter of the Blue Jays in right. Wade Boggs, the third baseman this evening. Cal Ripken Jr., what an impressive ovation for Cal before the game. Roberto Alomar at second base. John Olerud, leading the majors in hitting, is at first base. And Ivan Rodriguez behind the plate. On the mound, Mark Langston, his fourth All-Star selection. He is third in the American League in earned run average and second in strikeouts with 114 to teammate tonight Randy Johnson of Seattle.
And that's a distant second. Langston has struck out 114, while Johnson has 171 Ks. And Cito Gaston says we'll see Randy Johnson early in tonight's ball game. The umpires working this one: Jim McKean of the American League behind the plate, Bob Davidson of the National at first, Mike Riley of the American League at second, the National League's Gary Darling at third, Dale Scott down the left field line, and Mark Hirschbeck in right. Marquise Grissom will lead off. He was selected as a reserve, then put into the starting lineup when Andy Van Slyke of Pittsburgh, who was voted as a starter by the fans, had to be scratched due to injury. First pitch of the '93 All-Star Game, a ball low. Grissom, a .285 hitter. And the National League stolen base champion in each of the last two seasons. Along the coaching lines, Jimmy Williams of the Atlanta Braves in the third base box. And honorary National League captain Bob Gibson at first. Langston's breaking ball missed. 2 balls and 1 strike. In foul ground near the National League dugout. Wade Boggs to the stairs and does not have a play. Boggs, a fixture at third base for the American League, making his 8th consecutive start. That's a record, his 9th appearance in the All-Star Game in all. But it's the first time he's been here in the pinstripes of New York.
Marquise Grissom, on the other hand, the only Expo to make the National League team, and one of 11 teams with only 1 representative.
He said yesterday at the workout, he's here to win. It's his first time, but he had his thoughts set on helping the National League end its 5-game losing streak. Full count on the first batter of the All-Star game.
Last time the National League won an All-Star game was back in Oakland in 1987. Won in extra innings 2-0. And that is no surprise to the National League. All extra inning games in All-Star game history have been won by the National League.
Well hit and just foul past third. First error of the night committed by the left field ball girl. All of the games during the 5-game American League winning streak close, with the exception of last year's blowout, when the American League jumped out early at the expense of Tom Glavine. Another 3-2 pitch popped up, another chance for Bonds. One out. And that will bring up the best player in the game today, Barry Bonds of the San Francisco Giants, the leading vote getter among National League players this year. Those numbers support the commonly held belief that he is the best player in the game today.
Actually tied for the home run leadership in the major leagues with Mickey Tettleton of the Detroit Tigers, and Tettleton not even selected to the American League All-Star roster.
He was one of several notable snubs, and the reason you heard boos for the Toronto Blue Jays contingent before the game tonight was that Cito Gaston was charged with selecting the reserves, and there are 7 Blue Jays in uniform here tonight along the playing ranks. That's toward the corner and right, and a fair ball. Just fair, fielded by Joe Carter, and Bonds has the game's first hit, a ringing double down the right field line.
Barry Bonds out to be the most valuable player in tonight's game. His father was the most valuable player in the All-Star game in 1973 when it was played in Kansas City. Bobby Bonds, the father of Barry Bonds, and if Barry can hit a home run tonight, he will join the first father-son combination, make that the second father-son combination. Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr., the only father-son combination to homer in an All-Star game.
Now Gary Sheffield of the Florida Marlins. First player to start an All-Star game representing a first-year expansion club. Of course, he's still getting accustomed to the Marlin uniform. He was traded by San Diego to Florida on June 25th in exchange for 3 young prospects.
There is no player in the major leagues that has as much bat movement as Gary Sheffield. Every hitter needs a trigger, and the trigger that Sheffield has is awfully long to pull. Watch the bat movement when Gary's getting ready for the pitch. It takes awesome strength to hit like Gary Sheffield, because often he will point the bat at the pitcher and wiggle those hands, and to bring it around makes the arc a lot bigger. He hits a lot of balls to center field, right center, left center field. Those are his power alleys. Awfully strong.
For American League fans, a stance similar to Julio Franco of the Texas Rangers.
The difference, I think, is that Franco holds the bat still. He doesn't have the wiggle with the hands that Sheffield has. You would never teach a young hitter to hit this way.
But it works for Sheffield. He was the National League batting champion last year. He hit .330 in his first year in San Diego. 1 out, a runner at second. Just underway in the top of the first. There is no score here at the best ballpark in baseball, Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Well hit down the left field line. To the wall goes Puckett. Home run, Gary Sheffield. The first at bat in All-Star Game competition by a Florida Marlin results in a 2-run homer.
I guess that's what expansion players are supposed to do, expand the ballpark, and that's what Sheffield does with this knock. How about that? They are dancing in the streets of South Florida tonight. Woo!
John Kruk lifts the first pitch to him to left, and it's handled by Puckett for the second out. The 2-run homer by Sheffield on a 1-2 pitch has given the National League a 2-0 lead. Kruk, the cleanup hitter tonight, ordinarily the number 3 hitter for Philadelphia. John found out yesterday he was going to be the cleanup hitter and said, I better go out and lift some weights tonight to make sure I'm ready to hit in the 4 spot tomorrow.
He hits third for the Phillies, but among all-stars, he's batting 4th.
Now Barry Larkin. And the Cincinnati Reds shortstop takes a strike. He is the first National League player other than Ozzie Smith to start the All-Star game at short since Davey Concepcion back in 1982. Ozzie's string of 10 consecutive All-Star game starts ends this year. He was just edged at the wire by Larkin in the fan ballot.
I guess you could say Cincinnati Reds bookends. Davey Concepcion in 82, Larkin in 93. Everything in between was Ozzie Smith.
And Larkin is called out on strikes. That ends the inning. First strikeout for Langston. But the home run by Sheffield gives the National League a 2-0 lead.
The 3-2 pitch. Fastball, Bolton, and Bo has...
I heard Bo is so strong it could check swing a homer.
I believe that. I heard Bo is so fast he can turn off the bedroom lights and be in the sack before the room gets dark. I believe that. I heard Bo is so good that he can throw out a runner on the fly from the warning track. So, underhand.
We'll be back after this.
I heard Bo spent 2,180 hours rehabbing his hip just so he could play baseball.
2,000.
180 hours?
Rehabbing his hip.
Just so he can play baseball? I don't believe that.
But I did hear Bo once climbed up Fenway's Green Monster, bought a hot dog, and still had enough time to catch the ball.
He getting mustard on that dog?
No mustard.
I believe that.
The new Camaro. What else would you expect from the country that invented rock and roll?
Look out, America. The Choiceosaurus Sweepstakes is here. You could win $1 million or one of 7 $50,000 cash prizes. Pick up an entry form at any Quality, Comfort, Clarion, or Sleep Hotel, and you could be a winner, too.
Go to Comfort Inn and you can win $50,000. I did.
The $1 million prize is still at large. Will Choiceosaurus bring it to you? Call 1-800-4CHOICE because offers like this happen once every 60 million years.
For the American League, Roberto Alomar leads off at second base. Paul Molitor is the DH. Ken Griffey Jr. in center field. The cleanup hitter, right fielder Joe Carter. John Olerud is the first baseman batting 5th. For the top 5 hitters are Toronto Blue Jays. Kirby Puckett is the left fielder batting 6th. Cal Ripken Jr. at short hits 7th. Wade Boggs batting 8th and playing third base, and the catcher Ivan Rodriguez bats 9th against Terry Mulholland of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Terry 9-6, a 2.72 earned run average, his first All-Star selection. First time a Philadelphia Phillies pitcher has started an All-Star game since Steve Carlton back in 1979.
Greeted by Roberto Alomar, hitting .308. Those 10 home runs for Alomar already a single-season career best. Oh, very sharply fouled. Tough to hit the ball at that angle when you're right-handed. 1 ball and 1 strike on Alomar. Making his 4th All-Star appearance, his 3rd start. Mulholland, 30 years old, a native of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Nearly turned down the opportunity to pitch in the All-Star game when he found out he had been selected by Bobby Cox. He originally said he would not go to the All-Star game. Gary Sheffield with the backhand. 1 out. Mulholland had promised his 4-year-old son Tyler that he would take him fishing during the All-Star break. He'll go fishing with Tyler later in the week.
The defense, Barry Bonds, Marquise Grissom, David Justice in the outfield. Gary Sheffield at 3rd, Barry Larkin at short, Ryan Sandberg at 2nd, John Kruk at 1st, and Darren Dalton behind the plate. We mentioned Terry Mulholland, the first Phillies starter since '79, the first Phillies battery to start an All-Star game since.
Well, there was some other guy who used to catch Carlton on a regular basis, as I recall.
I was going to ask you to pardon me for that familiar reference.
Those who aren't familiar with the reference, Tim McCarver, for quite a period of time, was Steve Carlton's personal catcher. Paul Molitor, the batter. He was one of the reserves selected by Cito Gaston. 3 Blue Jays voted to the starting lineup, 4 others selected by Gaston as reserves, and Cito Gaston defended his choices, the members of his own team, by saying, I selected 6 world champions and a Hall of Famer. And in the Hall of Famer, he's referring to Paul Molitor.
Yeah, no other team has more than 2 selections. And Cito bemoaning the fact earlier, before the game started about 4 hours ago, saying that it is one of the worst jobs in baseball to try to select an all-star team. And I agree with him. I'll tell you, if I'm the manager of the American League, I pick my guys too, especially coming off a World Championship year. That obviously is the reason he is the manager. I've got to live with my guys a lot longer than I do the opposition.
Well, a simple solution that you proposed frequently, as have others, would be to expand the rosters up to 32 or 33. Instead of the current 28, rosters haven't changed while the leagues have expanded. Molitor walks. He's the first base runner for the American League. The National League leads 2-0 here in the bottom of the first. Sellout crowd of nearly 47,000 expected here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. So much of the charm of this park, the old style features. The terraced bullpens, the ivy in center field, the warehouse just beyond the right field fence, the room allowed for standing room only tickets. Ken Griffey Jr. He was the MVP of last year's All-Star game in San Diego, and Ken Griffey Jr. has had hits in each of his last 5 All-Star at-bats.
That ties Billy Herman and Frank Robinson for the most consecutive hits, and that would break the All-Star record if he gets a hit right here.
The 1-0 pitch. Big hack and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Molitor has to be careful over there at first with Mulholland on the mound. Terry broke the major league record for pickoffs last year with 16. Little dribbler down to first. Truck thought about second. Made the easy play for the second out. Now there's a runner in scoring position. So that ends the string for Ken Griffey Jr. He will not set the consecutive hit record tonight. Now Joe Carter, first time he has been voted a starter by the fans, and that's hard to believe with his many accomplishments in the game, but Joe attributes it to having played in small market cities, Cleveland, San Diego, and Toronto. Of course, they have plenty of opportunity to vote for Joe up in Toronto, but in terms of media exposure, not much of the exploits of the Blue Jays recounted in the United States.
Well, consider this, only a second All-Star appearance, and the 5 years before that, he drove in 545 runs, almost 110 a year, not even an All-Star mention.
In last year's All-Star game, Joe became the first Blue Jay to collect a run batted in All-Star game competition. Chance for another with his mate Paul Molitor at second and 2 outs. Bottom of the first. 2-0 National League on a home run by Gary Sheffield. We mentioned Terry Mulholland's dilemma. He's divorced, and young Tyler, the 4-year-old son, lives in Arizona with his mother. They plan to get together and go fishing. Nice of Jim Fregosi to grant Terry Mulholland an extra day off after the All-Star break to honor his commitment to his son.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Phillies, there's the manager of the Phillies, Jim Fregosi. The Phillies open in San Diego after the All-Star break. Mulholland pitches Saturday, and he doesn't have to show up until Friday.
Just foul off the end of the bat. There's the looping line drive from Joe Carter. Along the coaching lines, Sparky Anderson in the third base box. Moved past Walter Alston into 5th place on the all-time managerial win list. And Frank Robinson, one of the 2 honorary captains for the American League, along with Jim Palmer, is in the first base box. Count has gone full on Carter. Should he reach, his teammate John Olerud would hit next.
It's interesting that you say should he reach, because he loves to reach. Pitchers try to jam Carter. He is a terrific low ball hitter. Saw Mulholland come inside with what Mulholland describes as a cutter slider. Some pitchers throw a cutter, others throw a slider, but Mulholland trying to get inside with Carter, and that has the dugout scrambling, and Jim Fregosi, maybe he'll take that off day back.
Full count with 2 outs. Fouled straight back. Still 3-2. The Major League's leading hitter, John Olerud, waits on deck. He's hitting .395. Another 3-2 pitch is popped up. Barry Larkin in shallow center puts it away, and that ends the inning. The American League leaves a runner in scoring position. End of the first inning, 2-0 National League.
This is your world, genuine and true, working together in all that you do, and you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser. Proud to be your bud. Proud to be your bud. Ooh, yeah. Proud to be your. Proud to be your bud.
This simple outside says inside you'll find a lasting commitment to performance. The Intel 486DX2 processor, power for today's hottest software, and the Intel Pentium processor for the next generation of compatible power. That's Intel, the computer inside.
It's not just a high-performance tire. It's a Michelin. So it does things ordinary tires just can't do. The XGT series from Michelin.
originated the species. Chevy Blazer.
People get so emotional. It's the biggest transaction of their life. They look to you for that help, and you just have to guide them through that process.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Century 21, rated best at selling homes.
The year was 1933, baseball's first All-Star game. And fittingly, the great Bambino, Babe Ruth, hit the first All-Star home run at Chicago's Comiskey Park. The American League prevailed 4-2. Ruth played in only 2 All-Star games because the Midsummer Classic came into being at the end of his career. Coaching change. Tommy Lasorda has taken over in the first base box. And Mark Grace begins the second for the National League. He's DHing. He used the DH when the American League is the host city. Interesting that he was selected to be the DH because he's the best defensive first baseman among those on the National League squad. The Gold Glove winner at first base in the National League last year.
I asked Mark before the game if he would rather go in defensively and play a position and hit. He said, no, sir, the starting lineup. That's an easy call, Mark said.
Hard to believe with what he has accomplished in his 6-year career. It's his first All-Star game. He was a tough snub last year. Bobby Cox said he was the most difficult omission a year ago.
Excuse me, Sean. One of the things that makes Grace such a great hitter is the way he stays in against left-handed pitching. Watch that front shoulder.
Alomar to Olerud for the first out.
Grace, a .365 hitter against left-handers this year. That leads the majors. Of course, a bad result then. But all left-handed hitters who hit well against left-handed pitchers have to keep the front shoulder in. Grace does it, bad result.
Now David Justice. Hitting .244. This is his first All-Star game. With the 20 homers, he's third in the National League, and he's tied for 6th in runs batted in.
The Atlanta Braves are hoping that their offense can get started like David Justice has been going the last couple of weeks. 6 home runs, 18 RBIs his last 15 games. And that has been one of the things that has been bothering Bobby Cox's Atlanta Braves this year. Starting the season with the best pitching staff in baseball. But they just have not hit. But you can see David Justice, since the month of April, has hit very well.
The 1-2 to him is up and in. One of the surprises of the first half in baseball, the fact that the Atlanta Braves are 9 games behind front-running San Francisco, and that's not necessarily a negative reflection of the Braves. Their record is actually better at the break than it was last year, but the Giants played the best baseball in the majors. Little looper and a base hit. The third hit for the National League. A single in the center with 1 out in the second for David Justice.
Yeah, we talked about the front shoulder. The National League has 5 left-handed batters against Langston and the possibility of Randy Johnson coming in the 3rd inning. But that was an example right there of keeping the front shoulder in there. Good job of hitting by David Justice.
Now Darren Dalton. He looked at a strike.
Hey, come on now, Darren. Come on.
Dalton making his 2nd All-Star appearance. It's his first time as the starter selected by the fans. He went 0 for 3 in San Diego last year. His manager, Jim Fregosi, says he's the best catcher Fregosi has ever managed, and that includes Carlton Fisk. Justice back ahead of the quick throw by Langston, who has picked off 7 base runners this year.
He had 11 pickoffs last year, a couple of balks this year, and it's interesting that the first base umpire for the National League is a guy who calls a lot of balks, and that's Bob Davidson. Players kiddingly call him Balkin' Bob.
Little dribbler in front of the plate. Langston, an excellent fielder, makes the play. Mark has won 4 Gold Gloves for fielding excellence among pitchers in the American League.
Most left-handers fall to the third base side. That's why it's more difficult when they have to field the ball on the first base side. But Langston, as you say, very agile on the mound. 4 Gold Gloves to prove it.
Mark said this starting assignment was a dream come true. He actually thought about starting an All-Star game as a young boy. Ryne Sandberg. This is his 10th All-Star appearance, his 8th consecutive start. And his 9th start in all. He's the first Major League second baseman to make 9 All-Star starts. Rod Carew and Nellie Fox made 8 each.
Joe Morgan had 7 in a row, but this is the 8th start in a row for Sandberg. Suffering that broken bone in his left hand. First day of spring training. A ball thrown by Michael Jackson of the San Francisco Giants, and he missed the first 5 weeks of the season.
Spent some time rehabbing with the Cubs A-ball team in Daytona Beach. He said while he was there, his left hand healed just fine, but his right hand started to hurt because he signed so many autographs for his teammates. We're a little bit in awe of having Ryne Sandberg in their midst. One day down in Daytona Beach, Sandberg asked his teammates about the post-game spread in the locker room, and his teammate responded, well, every now and then the concessionaire brings in some hot dogs, but that's about it. When Ryne left, he left $1,000 worth of baseballs for the Daytona Cubs. The batting practice balls they used were just awful.
So he had a broken bone in the left hand and writer's cramp in the right hand, huh?
2 balls and 2 strikes. Justice at second. With 2 outs in the second, the National League leads 2-0 on a first-inning homer by Gary Sheffield. The fastball just missed, and the count is full. Langston, the first Angel to be the starting pitcher since Nolan Ryan started the '79 All-Star Game in Seattle. Payoff pitch, way outside and high. The first walk issued by Langston. And Marquise Grissom strolls to the plate for the second time. He popped out to the third baseman Wade Boggs and foul ground his first time up. Justice at second. Sandberg at first. Marquise Grissom, one of 15 children, looked at strike one. Big hack and a miss. 0-2.
Marquise Grissom, his power output up this year, 11 home runs. His stolen bases are down, but largely due to the fact that his power numbers are up. Only 19 stolen bases on the year for Grissom.
A sprained ankle in May slowed him a bit. Still 0-2.
I guess if you're one of 15 children, you're used to batting first, because that's better known as the table setting position in baseball. Pretty good table setter right there.
Better get to the table quickly with the competition that's oncoming. Grissom leads all National League center fielders and runs batted in with 53. He won't pick up one here. He strikes out to end the inning. Second strikeout for Langston. After an inning and a half, 2-0 Nationals.
Didn't I see you with a Honda dealer yesterday? Yeah, you were looking at that Accord. Well, you should know that in an independent 100,000-mile test, the Oldsmobile Achieva beat the Accord. And now you can buy an Achieva S with air, automatic, anti-lock brakes, and more for just $199 a month for 36 months. It's your choice.
Why use Valvoline motor oil? It's the #1 choice of Indy 500 chief mechanics, Daytona 500 chief mechanics, NHRA mechanics, and Baja 1000 mechanics. For use in their race cars and in their own cars. Any more questions? People who know use Valvoline.
Soon, you'll hear it. The best long-distance service is about to get even better. It's a breakthrough from AT&T Bell Labs, and it makes AT&T sound quality vastly superior to any other long-distance company. So much clearer, closer, and more natural. Even 8 out of 10 people who don't have AT&T prefer it. AT&T True Voice, coming in the months ahead, free. Just another part of the iPlan.
You're unbelievable. You're so unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable.
A message from Major League Baseball.
They say John Olerud has been in the zone this year. We asked him what that means.
It just sort of feels like everything's in slow motion. I feel like I've got everything going in the right direction at the right time, and it just feels like I get a lot longer look at the ball and more time to react. So that's the kind of zone I feel I'm in.
Hear about Larry Bird, who used to talk about how everything's in slow motion. Wayne Gretzky in hockey. Well, this guy in hitting, things slow down for him, or certainly apparently so.
He swings at the first pitch from Mulholland, and Ryan Sandberg throws him out. Olerud, the leading hitter in the majors, at .395. He says he doesn't think 400 is a realistic goal this year. Said it requires a player who can leg out infield hits. And John doesn't feel he has the speed necessary to get enough of those type of hits. Rampant substitutions along the coaching lines. It's a grueling job at first base, and Johnny Oates has taken over, the manager of the Orioles. What a hand he got when he was introduced. There's some speculation his job was in jeopardy when the Orioles got off to a slow start. Now they're right back in it, as is just about everybody else in the American League East. 3 games separate the top 5 teams in that division. Kirby Puckett at the plate, the most popular man in the state of Minnesota.
Also, you mentioned 3 games separating 5 teams in the American League East. The same thing in the American League West.
Foul tipped into the mid, a ball and 2 strikes on Puckett.
There are 10 teams in the American League within 3 games of the divisional lead. That's the most teams within 3 games of first place in this century.
And 2 strikes on Puckett. Wasn't enjoying his finest season, but he was making his 8th appearance and 4th start. And there's a drive to deep center. Grissom on the run at the wall, home run. Kirby Puckett with a home run, and the American League is on the board. It's 2-1.
Kirby Puckett is a deadly hitter against both right and left-handers, but left-handed pitching, he just suffocates. Straight away center field. Long way to run for Grissom, to no avail.
The reaction of Mulholland after Kirby Puckett's first All-Star extra base hit in 8 previous appearances. He never had an extra base hit or an RBI. He has one of each now. And the American League has a run on their first hit, Cal Ripken Jr. to Barry Larkin. 2 down. And if you didn't get goosebumps when Cal Ripken was introduced, you're not alive. Now Wade Boggs, batting 8th in his first year with the New York Yankees. He has posted a .292 average at the break, well below his career batting average entering this season of .338.
And you kind of had the feel for Wade Boggs being introduced after Cal Ripken Jr. The people were still on their feet. The ovation was still in progress. And then Boggs comes up with a Yankee uniform that is certainly in Baltimore not looked upon with the greatest love.
That average is the highest among active players who have had at least 10 at-bats in All-Star Game competition. Wade in his 9th Midsummer Classic, his first as a Yankee, the other 8 with the Boston Red Sox. After a decade with Boston and 5 batting titles, he signed as a free agent for 3 years and $11 million with the Yankees in the offseason. He's 35 years old. And how ironic that Scott Cooper, who waited 6 years in the minors to get a chance to finally take over at third base in Boston, was named to the team as a reserve and is backing up Boggs again tonight. Cooper is the only Boston Red Sox representative.
Yeah, he replaces him, and now he's his teammate in the All-Star Game. Nice story.
There's Scott Cooper, and at the plate, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. National League, a runner at first with 2 outs as the American League hits in the second.
Rodriguez 3 days younger than Johnny Bench when Bench played his first All-Star game, and Bench is the youngest All-Star ever to homer. Bench was 21 years, 7 months, and 16 days, and Rodriguez 3 days younger. And there's Johnny Bench doing the CBS radio broadcast tonight with John Rooney and Jerry Coleman.
That's Jerry Coleman seated alongside Johnny Bench. Rodriguez just 21 years old. He won't be 22 until November 30th. It's his second All-Star game. He played in San Diego last year. It's his first time as the starter. And his fly ball to Justice and right ends the inning. The American League is on the board on the home run by Puckett after 2-1 National League.
Ever consider leasing a car? Fine. Let me tell you about Smart Buy. Take the Oldsmobile Achieva, the car that beat Honda Accord and Toyota Camry in an independent 100,000-mile test. And now you can buy an Achieva S for just $199 a month for 36 months. So stop by anytime. It's your choice.
This Nike commercial is boring.
It's just Bo in a gym.
I can do that. Where are the dancing girls? Where's the singing?
I missed the montage style of editing.
It's just Bo in a gym.
Only a Nike commercial in a barbershop would be more boring.
Even Nike's not that dumb.
This summer, Janet is Justice in a street romance from the director of Boys in the Hood, Janet Jackson. Poetic Justice. Rated R. At theaters July 23rd.
Corbett hitting from the left side, looks out at Smith. Here's a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate. It is driven to deep right center field. Back goes Parker. There's no doubt about it. Holy cow!
The average sumo wrestler weighs 420 pounds. The average person puts 9,000 times that much weight on their feet every day. The average shoe just wasn't designed to take this kind of pressure, which is why Dr. Scholl's didn't create the average insoles. Using space-age materials, Dr. Scholl's has created its new line of insoles and inserts to give your shoes revolutionary support, cushioning, and shock absorption. Make life in your shoes more comfortable with Dr. Scholl's.
An important reminder from this network's new Late Show host.
You can't spell scuba without CBS.
Same Dave, better time, new station.
The 1934 All-Star Classic. The American League lineup was loaded. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Jimmy Fox. But Carl Hubbell of the Giants opened some eyes by striking out Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin in succession.
And a guy who does not throw anywhere near like Carl Hubbell has replaced Mark Langston as the pitcher. He's a big, tall left-hander, 6'10". He and Eric Hillman of the New York Mets, the tallest pitchers in Major League history. He leads the American League in strikeouts with 171, remarkable at this stage of the season. Hard thrower, and remember, the National League still with 5.
Who greets Randy Johnson with a fly ball down the left field line. Long run for Puckett, and it's just foul. Bonds bidding for his second extra base hit in as many at-bats. He doubled into the right field corner and scored on the Sheffield home run in the first. Among those looking on tonight, Tom Selleck, Mr. Baseball, with the only home run in the celebrity home run hitting contest yesterday.
He can hit. Tom Selleck's got a good swing. Some guys, those celebrity contests, guys get up there and hitting being a very difficult skill, particularly when 3 out of 10 times you're considered good. The failure rate 7 out of 10, but Tom Selleck, an excellent swing.
Randy Johnson missed up and in. 2 balls, a strike on Bonds. Second All-Star selection for Johnson. He did not appear in the 1990 game. Cal Ripken throws him out. Now Gary Sheffield. He hit a 2-run homer with Bonds aboard in the first off Mark Langston. Ironically, Sheffield's first major league hit was a home run off Mark Langston back on September 9th of 1988 when Sheffield broke in with the Milwaukee Brewers. It came in the 6th inning, and at the time it broke up a no-hit bid for Mark Langston. Then in the 11th inning of that ball game, Sheffield drove in the winning run. It was a 2-1 game with another hit off Langston. And he got him again in the All-Star game. The first at bat ever by a Marlin. One and one on Sheffield. Despite having been around since 1988, Gary's still just 24 years old. That's a pop-up for Cal Ripken. Two away in the third. The National League leads 2-1, and Anheuser-Busch has the aerial ambassador, the Bud 1 airship overhead, just 1 year old, making its second appearance at the All-Star game. The airship is piloted tonight by Tony Stevenson and Mike Hansen. They are providing the beautiful pictures that we have seen of this great city. What a great job Baltimore has done hosting this event. John Kruk fanning himself off. Johnson has had pitches clocked at as much as 102 miles per hour in Major League play.
Now this ball obviously just getting away from him, but watch the reaction of John Kruk. Would you say his heart is palpitating a bit?
I'd say it is. And will be when the second half resumes on Thursday.
Look at the next step. I don't blame John one bit for going toward first. And you can see him smiling. The first one's over his head, and then look at this. Looked like a rope was on his right leg.
And he bailed out again at the breaking ball.
He wants no part of Randy Johnson. None. Nada.
Now, is it possible, Tim, that this would have been gamesmanship in the All-Star game, that perhaps Johnson threw it up there intentionally to elicit this kind of response?
I don't think so. You knew that was coming. John had no chance.
And Johnson works a 1-2-3 inning, including the entertaining strikeout of Truck. CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Classic will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Can you imagine going one-on-one with Michael Jordan? You know the accusations. Do you think you have a gambling problem at all? Now, meet the man. And how much do you really know about your doctor?
He told me he was a physician in Mexico.
Unlicensed doctors and unlikely cure. A hidden camera investigation.
Eye to Eye with Connie Chung, Thursday.
What's the new Late Show with David Letterman going to be like?
It's like trying to drink scalding hot coffee with a face full of Novocaine.
This is CBS.
Things move so fast in this game. It seems like you never get to know people. Hi, I'm Emmett. Nice to meet you.
All men are created equal. Some just work harder in the preseason.
With Wendy's 99-cent super value menu, a small stack of change gets you a big stack of beef. It's Wendy's 99-cent quarter-pound double stack. It's a quarter pound of Wendy's fresh beef served hot off the grill, stacked with cheese, mustard, onions, pickles, and ketchup. And it's all just 99 cents every day on Wendy's super value menu. Wendy's 99-cent quarter-pound double stack. It's a big stack of beef for a small stack of change.
If you love beef, this one really stacks up.
When I started this business, it was just me, my telephone, until I called Illinois Bell, and things really started moving. I learned how to manage smarter at their call power seminars and picked up valuable tips in their small business guides, like using the yellow pages with an 800 number to make it easier for customers to call. I even added voicemail to help when I'm not around. The moral? Better get all the help you can. After all, I could be your competition.
For helpful advice, call us first. Illinois Bell is Ameritech. Don't get taken for a ride. Watch Wheels and Deals, a Channel 2 News Extra, Wednesday at 10.
Well, we posed the question, if Randy Johnson threw this pitch on purpose. Here's the reaction in the National League dugout.
I think he did that on purpose.
He did that on purpose.
He did it on purpose.
Well, Leo Mazzoni, the Atlanta pitching coach, and manager Bobby Cox of the National League thought Johnson threw it up there on purpose.
I think your question turned out, I know what you were saying at the time, and I think you were right the way the bench reacted. That was funny.
Andy Bettis, the new pitcher, greeted by Roberto Alomar and a home run. Second home run for the American League. The round tripper by Alomar, a former teammate of Bettis in San Diego, ties the game at 2.
A teammate before coming to Toronto with Joe Carter. This fastball on the inside part of the plate. We talked about Marquise Grissom and his output of power this year. Well, Roberto Alomar, 10 home runs during the season and 1 here in the All-Star game to tie it.
The second pitch thrown by Bettis. The first pitch was a ball, a 1-0 home run for Alomar to tie the game at 2. All of the scoring on long balls. Gary Sheffield, a 2-run homer in the first for the National League. Solo homers by Kirby Puckett last inning. Roberto Alomar this inning. And now Paul Molitor goes deep. But in the yard for Barry Bonds, who is still styling. And here's some boos. 1 out. Molitor had walked his first time up.
Ricky Henderson started this particular type of catch, and Barry Bonds liked it enough to snatch it.
Griffey Jr. stands in against Andy Bennis. And the first pitch, a strike. Andy Bennis, a big guy, 6'6", 240, one of 2 Padres on the National League club. Tony Gwynn is here again. And he's a native of Evansville, Indiana, making his first All-Star Game appearance. First San Diego pitcher to make the squad since Mark Davis in '89. He leads the National League with the 2.57 ERA you saw.
I asked Andy what he thought of all the players being traded from the San Diego team before the game tonight. He said, you know what we have to look forward to now? Whether San Diego signs the #1 draft choice or not. That's a pretty good statement and a pretty big statement about that organization trying to cut their payroll down to $21 million. The fans obviously disenchanted. Matter of fact, there is a San Diego Padre connection tonight. Not only Gwynn and Bennis, members of the Padres, but Carlos Baerga, Dave Hollins, former Padres in their farm system. And then Roberto Alomar, John Kruk, a Padre formerly, and Joe Carter and Gary Sheffield. So there are Padres all over the place tonight.
You're making it even more painful for the fans out in Southern California who have watched this fire sale of their ball club. Griffey Jr. strikes out for the second out. First All-Star strikeout for Andy Bennis. And 2 away. This is the first time in All-Star Game history that there has been a home run in each of the first 3 innings. Another ex-Padre, Joe Carter, one of the 8 current or former Padres on tonight's rosters. Oh, yeah, Fred McGriff, who was a close call, but wasn't selected to the All-Star team this year. What a club you'd have. 1 strike on Carter, who popped out to the shortstop. Larkin his first time up. 2-2 the score in the home half of the 3rd. Broken bat, humpback line drive for a hit in the left. That's the 3rd hit for the American League, and it's the only hit that has not been a home run. John Olerud. At .395, it was Rod Carew, who had a higher batting average at 83. He was hitting .402. That's to Larkin. He'll make the play himself to end the inning. The American League has tied it on the leadoff home run by Roberto Alomar. After 3, 2-2 the score.
Let's face it, if you don't stand on the podium at Cooperstown, then you're not considered a full ball player.
When you're growing up, you always say, well, I'm going to be a big league baseball player. But when you think of the Hall of Fame, I mean, that is so far out.
It means the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a baseball player.
Cooperstown is a very special place. It's a beautiful little village, you know.
You're a little kid, you have to be completely in awe of Cooperstown.
I've been a member of the Hall of Fame since 1982. Probably one of the greatest thrills I had in life.
I've been American Express card member since 1986.
Since 1989. Since 1973.
Since 1988.
I like my harmonica. I never leave home without it.
American Express is welcomed at the Hall of Fame and anywhere else people go to dream.
Having a real estate license doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to sell real estate. You have to understand people.
There isn't anything any school could teach you to make you care about people. That's got to come from the heart.
Century 21, rated most knowledgeable in real estate.
I'm planning to kill the president.
This summer,
This guy's going to make a try, and I've got to be there.
Clint Eastwood
Do you really have the guts to take a bullet?
gun is in the line of fire. Rated R. At theaters now.
And now, a promise from CBS's new late show host.
That's quality with a capital K.
Same Dave, better time, new station.
I was born
Outlaw turned lawman.
6 gun in my hand.
I'm Ned Blessing.
From the writer-producer of Lonesome Dove comes an authentic American hero, Ned Blessing, coming soon to CBS.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
All the scoring in the game on home runs. The National League took a 2-0 lead in the first on a 2-run homer by Gary Sheffield, but solo homers by Puckett in the second and Alomar in the third have tied it for the American League. And we go to the fourth in a 2-2 game. Randy Johnson working to Barry Larkin.
He throws hard. Hard.
Indeed he does. And you might have recognized the voice. Belongs to the last man to hit 400 in Major League Baseball, Ted Williams, with 406 back in 1941. A thrill to have you with us on this special night here in Baltimore. And that's a pop-up in shallow right. Before we get into talking with Ted, we want to have him look back at an all-star memory. It was 1941, and a young man named Ted Williams hit a dramatic 3-run homer with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. It gave the American League a 7-5 victory. And Ted Williams would later call that the greatest thrill of his career. Is it still in your memory books?
Well, I have to think that any of these guys out here tonight are thrilled to be here. And certainly that was one of the biggest thrills for me. The first time I was in the All-Star Game and I did anything. And I could just imagine how the Sheffield or any of these young kids, you know, that hit one big crowd and a big event, I think, by it has to stir them up a little bit.
Sean, I didn't tell you this. I checked into the hotel the other day. I ran into Ted, and Ted said the only thing I have against announcers, they keep talking about the inside part of the plate. You got to keep pitching guys inside. And sure enough, 3 inside pitches tonight, 3-run homers, right?
That's right.
What'd you say? That's Hall of Fame material.
Yeah, even with these exceptional fastballs and arms, why, you got to come in there at the right time. And to say you're going to pitch them inside, ooh, I shiver when I think of anybody, any young batter that can swing a bat. You keep pitching them inside, and they're going to either lead the league in home runs batted in, or batting in.
Mark Grace out on the comebacker to the mound. We mentioned you're the last man to hit 400, and that subject has come up a lot this year because of the pursuit of Andres Galarraga and John Olerud of that mark. Is it possible in this day and age to hit 400?
Oh, I think so. It's a hard job, especially the media on you every minute. Just the fact you got to get the hits every day, and you go for 4 and the bottom drops out. But I think it can be done. I always said it had to be, I would think, someone that could run fast. Well, here you got Olerud that's not so fast, and he's hitting right at 400. You got to get the bat on the ball all the time. It'll be a tough job, but I think someday it'll be done again, certainly.
There is John Olerud. You do a lot of fishing up in Canada. I'm told you see a lot of Blue Jay games on TV. There are a lot of comparisons made between John Olerud and yourself. Do you see some of those?
Well, I see a little similarity, but I have to compare him with Cecil Travis a little bit. Cecil Travis was a hitter that hit the ball all around the park and through the middle and everything, and made excellent contact. And he wasn't fast, but he was an excellent hitter. And I think that I see more of him, more of Cecil Travis than I do myself.
The 0-2 pitch to David Justice is way outside.
One question I've always wanted to ask you. You won the MVP in 1946 and 49, and yet you had 406 and 41, the Triple Crown in 42, the Triple Crown in 47. You didn't win the MVP in any of those years. How disappointing was that?
Well, there was disappointing moments for sure, but there were a lot of great players then, and I didn't feel so badly on three occasions. A couple of occasions I thought I certainly would be, and I wasn't, and those were a little disappointing. As I recollect now, and I look back last year, and here's Cecil Fielder having 3 great years of home runs and runs batted in, and he hasn't won a thing yet. And I would have liked to have talked to him and say, look, all of these happened to me, and I never was the most valuable player. And a couple of years I didn't think I would get it, and I got it.
David Justice out on the fly ball to center. Ted Williams, thanks for gracing us with such a wonderful visit.
Thank you.
We
Nice
appreciate
talking
it.
to both of you. Good luck.
2-2 in the middle of the fourth. Back after this.
Dice Gordon calling emergency.
We've always been fascinated by the way our heroes communicated.
Your shoe's ringing.
No matter what, they were always in touch. Well, now communicating can be as simple as we imagined.
That's great.
Because across the U.S. and Canada, there's MobileLink, a new standard in cellular service. So now it's easy for anyone to stay in touch.
Don, I need your help on a case.
Hold it, Dick. My phone's ringing. Hello?
Mobile Link. It's simply the way to communicate. To order service today, call your Mobile Link provider.
You like it?
Is that new Bonneville yours?
They really changed it, haven't they?
That's sharp. I figured you for a BMW or a Lexus.
Well, I checked them out. But with the Bonneville, I got everything I wanted. Leather, airbag, anti-lock brakes, and the power, the handling.
Mind me asking?
It was 10, 20,000 less than the BMW or Lexus.
We are driving excitement, Pontiac.
I like it.
Me too.
Hey, mister, you want to play?
Yep.
Emma?
I ain't getting that. He get his own ball. Mister, don't you got a football game to go to?
From Touchstone Pictures, Richard Dreyfuss and Amelia Estevez are on another stakeout as father and son. And with their new partner...
Help your mother.
They're becoming a family.
Did you know that you were illegitimate? Thank God.
Another stakeout, rated PG-13. Sneak preview Saturday, July 17th.
CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Game from Baltimore is brought to you by We Are Driving Excitement, the American Express card, and by Coca-Cola Classic, always the real thing.
Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver and Pat O'Brien at the All-Star Game in Baltimore. The game tied at 2 as we head to the home half of the fourth. The American League coming up, and Kirby Puckett leads off. He got the AL on the board with his solo homer in the second. That was against the starter Terry Mulholland. This is against Andy Bennis. And Ryan Sandberg throws Puckett out. Let's check in with Pat O'Brien.
All right, Sean and Tim, thank you. Kind of a lively place here between the warehouse and the stadium there. You walk down here before, during, apparently, and after the game and eat. This is Boog Powell's barbecue, where they usually have about 1,000 pounds of pork and beef on a game night tonight, about 1.5 tons. You guys, just what I want to do. Stand in front of hot coals, have a 5-pound sandwich on an 88 degree. Go back up there.
Sure looked good, though. Sal Ripken Jr. looked at a strike from Andy Bennis. He grounded out his first time up. Strike 2, borderline pitch, called a strike by Jim McKean.
Could have been outside. Call a strike by Jim McKean.
And that's just outside. That .229 average you saw a moment ago for Ripken, the lowest average ever by an All-Star starting a game in his own home ballpark. Nowhere near the lowest batting average ever by an All-Star starter, excluding pitchers. That was 169 for Davey Lopes back in strike short 1981. It is strike 3, and tagged out is Ripken by Dalton for the second out of the inning, and the second strikeout of this outing for Andy Bennis.
Looked like Cal went too far, and he knew it on the breaking ball in the dirt. Backhanded by Dalton, and Darren tags Ripken out. Cal Ripken now has played in 1,823 games. He is 308 away from Lou Gehrig's record of 2,130 consecutive games played.
And despite that low average, he has shown signs of coming on of late. Raised his average 13 points in the 4 games coming into the All-Star game. Wade Boggs is at the plate. He walked his first time up. Boggs, a disappointing year last year. In his final season with Boston, he hit .259, his only season under 300 in his first 11 in the majors. He said the pressure of playing for a contract wore on him. He couldn't get together with the Red Sox on a contract in spring training and played without an extension throughout the year.
Does that mean if you have a contract, there's no pressure?
I would say so. If you're guaranteed 4 or 5 years at $11 or $12 million, that would relieve a lot of the pressure I might feel.
Well, that's one of the knocks on players nowadays, that the 4-year contracts, the multi-year contracts, make them very comfortable, put them in a comfort zone. And if that's true, A lot of comfort zones here tonight.
Boggs, they had him perfectly played. Bonds near the left field line made the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Bennis. After 4, 2-2 the score.
This is hydroplaning in less than an inch of water, and they're not being pulled by a boat, but by Goodyear AquaTread radials. AquaTread's deep groove design channels water away to keep more tire in contact with the road for outstanding wet traction. This is hydroplaning. This is AquaTreading, the all-season AquaTread only from Goodyear. It comes with a 60,000-mile tread life warranty. Goodyear AquaTread. Try a set. We like to say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
I would have almost paid my own way to play baseball if I could have. The hitting was what I always liked, and I had a bat in my hand. I just felt like I was the man in command. I've been a member of the Hall of Fame since 1982. Probably one of the greatest thrills I had in life. I've been a card member since 1988. It works.
American Express is welcomed at the Hall of Fame and at places where you don't have to be a big hitter to get noticed.
To celebrate Buick's 90th anniversary, we proudly introduce the 90th Anniversary LeSabre. LeSabre has a proven reputation for quality and the highest projected resale value in its class. Now, you get all this Buick quality, comfort, and elegance at a special anniversary price. The 90th Anniversary Buick LeSabre. Quality its competition just can't hold a candle to.
Rookie of the Year is turning summer into a winning season.
This kid's incredible.
It's the crowd-pleasing, tickle-your-funny-bone Major League Hit of the Year. A movie for the winner in all of us. Rookie of the Year.
Yes!
Rated PG. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
The 1970 All-Star Game. That play speaks to the competitiveness that some feel when they take the field for an All-Star game, and one of the most competitive people in baseball is on the mound now. For the American League, Jack McDowell of the Chicago White Sox is on. Greeted by Darren Dalton. That's to the new first baseman, Cecil Fielder, who's replaced John Olerud. 1 out. Dalton now 0 for 2. Here's Big Cecil, who was bypassed as an All-Star last year, despite leading the major leagues in runs batted in at the time of the Midsummer Classic.
Trying to become the first guy in Major League history to lead the major leagues in RBIs 4 years in a row, and that's
but done it the last 3 years, and only Babe Ruth and Cecil Fielder have led the majors in runs batted in 3 years in a row. There's Baltimore, the birthplace of Babe Ruth. About 2 blocks from here. Brian Sandberg to short to Cal Ripken. 2 down. Sandberg walked his first time up. He's now 0 for 1.
If you think Cecil Fielder with 77 RBIs is having a good year, look at Hank Greenberg in 1935. He's the only player in Major League history to have 100 RBIs at the All-Star break, and guess what, folks? He did not make the All-Star team.
He had 25 homers and 103 runs batted in, to be precise, that year, 1935, and did not make it.
Not only that, but Mickey Cochran was his manager. And he also managed the All-Star team and still didn't pick him.
Good thing they didn't have All-Star bonuses back then, or Hank would have been hot.
I think there's criticism of Cito Gaston this year and Bobby Cox for selecting players. What about a guy who doesn't select his own player when he has 103 RBI?
And this has become a big money matter for the players. 37 players in uniform tonight are receiving a bonus for making the All-Star team. The total bonuses that will be paid out by the Major League club, $1.4 million. Grissom to right. Carter watches it drop in foul ground. Bound up into the stands. Grissom is 0 for 2. Popped out and struck out. American League pitchers Langston, Johnson, and now McDowell have combined to retire 9 in a row. Mark Langston started when 2 innings, allowed 2 earned runs on 3 hits, the runs on the Sheffield homer. He walked 1 and struck out 2, and Randy Johnson pitched 2 perfect innings while striking out 1. McDowell's retired the first 2 he has faced here in the 5th in a 2-2 game. And that is right at Ken Griffey Jr. 1, 2, 3 goes the National League again. Halfway through the 64th All-Star Game. The Nationals 2, the Americans 2.
As a truck company for 90 years, we understand the value of a strong frame. A reassuring strength for towing, whether you're on road or off road. GMC Truck, the strength of experience.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going and going.
This Saturday night, come see Mike Myers in a special sneak preview.
I'm naked, aren't I?
Hello! So I Married an Axe Murderer, rated PG-13. Sneak preview Saturday night.
Communication is not crucial to our business. It is our business.
I have a pet peeve about people who don't return phone calls. So if you don't hear from me, you can rest assured I'm probably dead.
Century 21, rated best at selling homes.
Home run hit on July 4th. Coke and Major League Baseball gave $5,000 to renovate youth baseball fields through the Coca-Cola Homers for America program.
And Homer's the story of the night. 2-2 halfway through the ballgame. Let's check in with Jim Cott.
Well, Randy Johnson, Seattle left-hander, 2 perfect innings for the American League. But if there ever was a pitch that could break the tension in this game, the first one to John Kruk. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a bit humid out there, and I think maybe the ball just kind of got away. But John's got the type of personality, I think, that he didn't think anything of it, and I think he kind of, got a little reaction out of it, and it was a lot of fun for me out there. 2 innings in the All-Star game. I'll always remember those 2 innings.
Well, you've got the kind of personality that can get by with something like that, too. Congratulations. Let's go back up to Sean and Tim.
John Burkett of the San Francisco Giants becomes the 3rd pitcher of the night for the National League. He is one of 2 13-game winners in baseball. He was the first, and Jack McDowell of the American League joined him over the weekend. A couple of other changes. Bobby Kelly of Cincinnati is now in center field. And Jay Bell of Pittsburgh playing at second base, not ordinarily his position. He's a shortstop by trade for Pittsburgh. Bell has only played 2 games in his career at second base. Well, way back in 1986 when he was with Cleveland. Ivan Rodriguez flied to right. That was in the 2nd. Roberto Alomar and Paul Molitor scheduled to follow, but we're at the point in the game where you might expect some pinch hitters.
Talked about Pudge Rodriguez being the youngest player in the game. Well, Carlton Fisk, another Pudge, retiring about a month and a half ago, being released by the White Sox. So 1 Pudge out, another one in, as far as big league catchers are concerned.
This Pudge was promoted to the major leagues on June 20th of 1991. On the same day, he married his wife, Maribel. What a day that was in his life.
Get me to the park on time.
The 2-2 pitch. Line to left. Bonds on the run. It's over his head and stuck in the wall. Stuck in the padding in left field, just to the left of the 364 mark. And that's a ground rule double.
Barry Bonds, one of the best at playing the carom. Let's see how he does on the stick. He plays at the stick all year long. Look what happens. Stuck. Ground rule double for Ivan Rodriguez. I would imagine they will correct that in years to come and either sew the seams or make it to where the ball at least caroms off of that wall, because that does not appear to be a fair situation when the ball sticks like that.
A Velcro ball off the wall and left by Ivan Rodriguez. One of the few criticisms of this park is that fence in left field is too low and the fans can reach over and interfere with the fielders as they try to make plays. Jay Bell looking like a veteran of second base action as he scooped that up and threw out Roberto Alomar. So the go-ahead run is at third with one out for the American League. They fell behind in the first inning on a two-run homer by Gary Sheffield in the first at-bat ever in the All-Star game by a Marlin. Kirby Puckett made it 2-1 with his first ever All-Star homer in the second, and Roberto Alomar tied it at 2 with his solo homer off Andy Bennis in the third. First time in All-Star history that there's been a home run in each of the first 3 innings. And a pinch hitter batting for the DH Paul Molitor is Albert Bell of the Cleveland Indians in his first All-Star game. And in all likelihood, it will not be his last. Bell looked at a strike, 1-1.
23 home runs here at the All-Star break, the most since Rocky Colavito had 24 before the All-Star game in 1959.
The most for an Indian.
Most for an Indian, right. That was the first All-Star game, by the way. That was the first year that 2 All-Star games were played. There was a period of 4 years from 1959 to 1962 where 2 All-Star games were played. Contributions went to the Players' Pension Fund in those days.
John Burkett with the 1-2 pitch. Line to base hit. In his first All-Star at-bat, Albert Bell gives the American League the lead. The ball misplayed by Justice, and Bell moves in a second. So Albert Bell with a single and an RBI to knock in Rodriguez. The American League leads for the first time tonight at 3-2, and that will likely be the game's first error on David Justice.
So Albert Bell over the drawn-in infield. Had the infield been back, by the way, Jay Bell could have made the catch. So it looks like a single and an error on David Justice.
It is. And another man in scoring position with 1 out for Ken Griffey Jr., who is 0 for 2. He's grounded out and struck out. Little looper and a base hit over the outstretched Kruk. They're sending Bell in. Justice has a very good arm, but the throw is offline. It's 4-2 American League.
Very good arm, but even all-stars make mistakes. It has become more prevalent in Major League Baseball for outfielders, because of strong arms, to continue to not to do fundamentally or things fundamentally correct. David Justice overthrowing the cutoff man, not only allowing a run to score, but allowing Griffey to go to second base. Had the throw been on target, he could have had a shot at Bell, but the big thing there is he missed the cutoff man.
The signal on an RBI for Griffey, and he takes second on the throw to the plate. So 2 runs in the inning on 3 hits. An error by Justice and the air mailing of the cutoff man. The runs at the expense of John Burkett in his first inning. Joe Carter is the batter with 1 strike to count. He has popped to short and singled to left. Let's listen in on Cito Gaston's reaction to the hit.
Oh, boy. Nice hit, nice. Oh, boy, what hustle. All right.
And they have hustled in this inning. Bell, an alert play to get into second when Justice bobbled. And Griffey moved into scoring position on the high throw by Justice. Terry Mulholland, who started for the National League tonight, thought John Burkett would have been the most deserving starter. But Bobby Cox said that decision was based on the fact that Mulholland had more rest. He had 4 days of rest coming in, while Burkett pitched on Saturday in extraordinary heat against the Phillies in Philadelphia. That just missed. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
John Burkett tied with the major league lead in wins along with Jack McDowell, and here they are facing one another in the 5th inning. John also a bowler. That is his avocation. He has bowled 300 games as an amateur.
On 3 occasions.
Yeah.
And he has occasionally participated in PBA events in the offseason. Let's check in with an excellent bowler himself, Pat O'Brien.
All right, Sean, thank you. One of the interactive parts of this park is this is a 2-tiered bullpen out here. The fans can come up here, and as Steve Avery just told me, they can rag on the National League who are up here. Down here is the American League. We thought the National League had a better look, but they're down here by themselves. About the only thing they don't have is air conditioning. But this is an amazing thing for a new ballpark and another feature of Camden Yards. Back upstairs.
One of the old style features that adds to the charm. Cecil Fielder in his first at bat carved 1 foul. As Tim mentioned, he's leading in runs batted in all of Major League Baseball again with 77. He's 1 shy of the American League lead in home runs with 23. His teammate Mickey Tettleton has 24.
This guy is one of the most terrifying hitters in the history of Major League Baseball. You talk to all the players, you talk to the pitchers in particular, there is no way to pitch him. Tremendous power the other way, center field. It went on top of the roof at Detroit Tiger Stadium earlier this year, about 2 weeks ago.
Two balls and a strike on Fielder.
Remember when Cecil Fielder came back, as you look at Wade Boggs, Cecil Fielder came back to the United States after 3 years in Japan. He signed a 2-year contract, $1.5 million a year, and everybody thought that was exorbitant.
He was hit by the pitch. Burkett tried to crowd him, but instead picked up the 10-pin.
Not the 7-10 split, huh? That's about where it would be.
Home plate, 10.
Yeah, home plate 60 feet 6 inches away, a bowling alley 60 feet, and that's about where that 10-pin would be. But Cecil's 10-pin was there, his right 10-pin.
Larger than the average pin. Ken Griffey Jr. at second. Fielder at first. 2 outs. 2 runs in here in the 5th. The American League has taken a 4-2 lead. Kirby Puckett scored their first run when he had a solo homer in the 2nd. Grounded out to the second baseman in the 4th. The 28-year-old Burkett, Pennsylvania native, watches a line drive to left. Bonds won't get it. It's in the gap and off the wall. Griffey in to score. Fielder chugs into third. He's held by Sparky Anderson. It's a double for Puckett. He had no extra base hits in his first 8 All-Star games. He has 2 tonight and 2 runs batted in. It's 5-2 AL.
John hangs the slider, you can see it just spin and not break. And to a hitter like Kirby Puckett, that is deadly combination right in the middle of the plate. And Kirby trained to hit those balls hard, and he did.
And Bobby Cox is out to the mound. He'll replace John Birkin. We'll return in just a moment.
Monroe introduces road sensing technology. A new breed of Monroe shocks and struts that give you added control. New road sensing shocks and struts, only by Monroe. Designed to adjust automatically to give you added control without sacrificing comfort. Now, comfort and control are automatic. New road sensing technology, only by Monroe.
Are you saying that I killed my wife?
I didn't kill my wife! Put that gun down! Turn around!
On August 6th, the chase begins. Harrison Ford is The Fugitive, rated PG-13.
Starts Friday, August 6th at a theater near you.
What's IBM doing for customers these days? Ask DHL.
Overseas delivery is our bread and butter, so we needed a system that was international and open to working with other systems. That's where IBM came in.
Ask Samuel.
We use IBM's Worldwide Information Network. Everywhere we are, and IBM runs the whole thing. That frees us to focus on our own global operations.
If you've got global ambitions, talk to us. There's never been a better time to do business with IBM.
Engine performance to the max. Performax from Pennzoil. Drain interval protection to the max. Performax from Pennzoil. Engine protection to the max. Performax from Pennzoil. New synthetic motor oil with Pennzoil's exclusive star molecule. Protects engine parts at ignition. Works like liquid ball bearings. Hangs tough during the most extreme driving conditions. Performax protects to the max.
The American League has a 5-2 lead and 2 men in scoring position with 2 outs here in the 5th, and we have our first managerial dilemma of the night for Bobby Cox.
Yeah, usually there is not a lot of strategy in the All-Star game because most of the managers allow the players to play, but here is some strategy right here. You bring in the left-hander, and there is no way that you can walk Cal Ripken Jr. here in Baltimore. They'd have a riot here. Now, normally in another game during the season, you walk him to get to the left-hander, but they're going to pitch to him. You almost have to pitch to him right here since Ripken is so loved in Baltimore.
And they will, and Steve Avery's first pitch is a ball. He missed low and in with the breaking ball to Ripken. It was 0 for 2. He's bounced to short and struck out. This whole ballpark is Cal Ripken's fan club, as you heard during the introductions.
Another interesting development, Frank Thomas has come out in the on-deck circle. Scott Cooper was out in the on-deck circle. And maybe by putting Thomas out there, Bobby Cox decided, well, I'd rather pitch to Ripken.
Good bender from Avery. And it's 2-1 on Cal. Cecil Fielder is the runner at third. And Kirby Puckett at second. With 2 outs. 3 runs in the inning off Birkin. And that's outside. 3 balls and a strike. Steve Avery's 23 years old, representing the Atlanta Braves, one of 5 Braves here. His first All-Star game. It's about the only thing left for Steve Avery. In his 4th season in the majors, he was the MVP of the 1991 National League playoffs against Pittsburgh and set a league championship series record by throwing 22 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings in LCS play, encompassing the 91 and 92 playoffs. Off the plate could be a problem. Sheffield has to hurry and gets Ripken by a running step. 3 runs for the American League in the 5th. CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Classic will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Coming this summer, get ready for a whole new late night on CBS.
Love songs. Nothing but love songs.
Starting August 30th, same Dave, better time, new station.
Order now and receive a handsome tote bag.
Late Show with David Letterman.
A special Wednesday episode.
I'm Elvis.
The king lives, and guess who's all shook up?
If it wasn't for Johnny, I never would have squeezed myself into this suit.
A special Wednesday Johnny Bago. This is CBS.
I travel the world for things like this chair that make you say, wow, I want that. Wow. This is why I use Diners Club on Business, to get me to places like this free.
With Diners Club, I earn miles every time I use my card, and I can put them on practically any frequent flyer program I choose. No other card gives me that kind of flexibility. It's good to fly free.
Diners Club, the right answer for business.
Just imagine if you could always do things your way. Like, if you were a cartoon. Then you could give yourself your own Foot Locker with tons of Philo Rumball shoes. And then you could really jam. Of course, you're not a cartoon. Lucky for you, Foot Locker has tons of Philo Rumball shoes. Hey, it's a start. Foot Locker, where it all begins.
Running a small business was driving me crazy, Susan. So smart me, I called Illinois Bell. Harry, I added more lines, call forwarding, and bingo! More customers can reach me, even in my car. And Brenda, with voicemail, I never miss a call. And Jack, with three-way calling, I'm always in touch with the office and my customers. Tony, business is so good it's driving me crazy. But hey, who's complaining?
For helpful advice, call us first. Illinois Bell is Ameritech.
Another product tampering. The story after the game.
We played 5 innings, and the American League has come from 2-0 down to take a 5-2 lead. Bunch of changes, 7 of them to be precise. Greg Vaughn, the only Brewers representative, is in left field. Devon White, one of the 7 Blue Jays, is in center field. Juan Gonzalez of the Texas Rangers takes over for Joe Carter in right. The new second baseman is Carlos Baerga of Cleveland. Scott Cooper of Boston at third base. And an all-new battery as well, and Jimmy Key of the New York Yankees becomes the 4th AL hurler of the night.
Jimmy Key leads the majors in earned run average with a 2.31, and he has allowed fewer base runners than innings pitched. 132 runners, 136 in the third pitched.
Key's first pitch to Barry Bonds is a ball, and there's the new catcher Terry Steinbach, the only Oakland Athletic in the All Star game this year. Although it was a tough call to bypass Ricky Henderson. He probably would have been the starter for the American League tonight, but his manager, Buck Showalter, asked Cito Gaston to use him for only 1 inning. So Mark Langston got the call. Another bullet, another toward the right field corner. That's where his double went in the first inning. Gonzalez gets it back in. What a throw, but it's offline. And Bonds has his second hit. He's 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles in just about the exact same spot.
He can really turn on that inside fastball. Reminds me of what Ted was talking about earlier, the inside part of the plate. As a matter of fact, the other day, when he got in the car, he got back out and he said, "Do you think you can pitch Bonds inside?" And I said, "No." He said, "Neither do I."
Now Gary Sheffield, who homered in the first inning and popped to short in the third. American League pitchers had combined retired 10 in a row before the double by Bonds. Jack McDowell pitched 1 perfect inning. And a strike on Sheffield. Now the only American League starter who has gone all the way is Cal Ripken. And that's fitting with the game in his backyard.
Jimmy Key meeting his wife Cindy when they attended Clemson University. They were both on athletic scholarships, but maybe Cindy should have changed it to business administration. because Cindy is now Jimmy's agent.
And has been throughout his career. She was an excellent swimmer at Clemson while Jimmy played on the baseball team. Bonds heads for third. Sheffield fouled it off. As a matter of fact, it was Cindy Key who negotiated Jimmy Key's 4-year, $17 million deal with the New York Yankees in the most recent offseason. And if those are her credentials, she might have a few more clients.
Well, that's 10%, so that's $1.7 million to Cindy. That's putting the 10% in the right spot, all in the family.
I believe your wife gets a lot more than 10% of your income.
You can book that.
Ann is nodding her head yes. She's not holding out for a better deal. So prevalent in this day and age. Last winter, there were 10 free agent starting pitchers who signed for a total of $166 million over 37 years. And of those 10, Key has been the best. That group includes Greg Maddux, David Cohn, Chris Blasio, Doug Drabeck, Greg Swindell, John Smiley, Dave Stewart, Mike Moore, Jose Guzman, and Key. Key wasn't the biggest name or the most sought after in the offseason, but he's been the best of that bunch.
He threw the last pitch in last year's World Series. Bunted to the right side of the infield by Otis Nixon. Actually, that was Mike Timlin. Key in that ball game, but Timlin threw that pitch. That's right.
He was the winning pitcher in that.
Right.
There's
right.
a base hit in the left for Sheffield, down by 3. Bonds will stop at third. So the National League is on the comeback trail with runners at the corners and nobody out. The Bud 1 airship is bringing you these pictures from more than 1,000 feet above Camden Yards with the help of pilots Mike Hance and Tony Stevenson. Looking in on the beautiful pictures tonight, our CBS colleague Leslie Visser and all of us here in Baltimore want to send along our best wishes to that lovely lady seriously injured in a fall while jogging about 3 weeks ago, and we're happy to hear that she's on the comeback trail. We'll look forward to having her back with us real soon. Our thoughts are with you tonight, Leslie.
Also, Rich Hacker, a coach for the Toronto Blue Jays, involved in an automobile accident on Sunday night. Our best wishes for a speedy recovery to Rich. And Jim Beecham, a coach with the Atlanta Braves, hurt in batting practice last week. Plastic surgery, we understand, on the left side of his face.
He was hit in the eye with a ball during batting practice. Each of these coaching staffs dealing with adversity. And our thoughts as well, as you mentioned, with Rich Hacker and Jim Beecham. John Kruk at the plate. The 2-0 fouled straight back. Kruk has flied to left and has been called out on strikes. He says of his team, the Renegade Phillies, even the chapel leader is afraid to come in the clubhouse.
All you have to do is take a look at his helmet. Look at the pine tar on the helmet of John Kruk. That's the dirtiest helmet in the ballpark.
The 2-1 is a strike.
Look at John Kruk's helmet. The P has almost disappeared.
Is there a rule? Perhaps we should consult George Brett on this, but is there a rule for too much pine tar on the helmet?
Famous pine tar incident of George Brett back in 1983 at Yankee Stadium.
Jammed him and struck him out. Big strikeout for Key. The first out of the inning. Here's Jim Cott.
Thanks, Sean. Kirby Puckett, Minnesota Twins superstar and American League outfielder with 2 knocks tonight, and probably a year, Kirby, that you might not have expected to be here, but you're most productive.
Yeah, so far so good, Kitty. A lot of people say I shouldn't be here because my numbers are down, but I went out and I played hard every day, and the numbers might not indicate the way things are going, but I mean, as a team, we're not playing too well, but we're going to have a good second half and get back in it.
And you guys are having more fun tonight. This is the loosest atmosphere I've seen. Let's go back up to Sean and Tim.
Kirby Puckett to be commended. He turned down a contract offer in the offseason of about $6 million more from the Boston Red Sox than he was offered by the Minnesota Twins, but elected to stay. And everybody in Minnesota knows what Kirby means to that franchise and to that state. Barry Larkin pulled the first pitch foul, as you saw. He has struck out and flied to right. He's the tying run at the plate, first and third and 1 out in the National League 6. The Americans lead 5-2. Bonds, the runner at third. Sheffield at first. Both of those gentlemen 2 for 3 tonight. Barry Larkin yesterday presented with the 1993 Roberto Clemente Award. It goes to the Major League player for excellence on and off the field. And Barry Larkin's caring program for children has raised more than $400,000 in Cincinnati and has helped 1,700 young people receive medical care that their family could not afford. He is one of the great gentlemen in the game today.
Usually pitchers, once they're involved in a game, will go inside, but at the All-Star game, you see Terry Mulholland, Andy Bennett still out there.
And the 3-1 to Larkin is in the air to center. The Gold Glover Devon White has room. Both runners tagging. And Sheffield won't try to go to second as Bonds comes in. It's a 2-run game, 5-3. As Barry Larkin picks up an RBI, driving in Bonds with the sacrifice fly. And now the DH, Mark Grace. His manager, Jim Lefevre, calls him the best defensive first baseman Lefevre has ever seen. And Lefevre played with Wes Parker when they were with the Dodgers. Great glove man.
Part of that switch hitting infield for the Dodgers for many years.
On Grace, 2 out Sheffield at first. In the 6th, 5-3, favor the American League.
I don't think anybody in the big leagues works both sides of the plate any better than Jimmy Key. Think about this inning. He got John Kruk on the inside fastball. Barry Larkin had to reach to hit the fly to center, and Grace took 1 inside and 1 outside.
The 0-2 is a ball, 1-2. Grace, 29 years old, facing 32-year-old Jimmy Key, a native of Huntsville, Alabama. Now makes his home in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Tried the outside part of the plate again and missed 2-2. Grace won the Gold Glove last year, his first, and the first ever for a Cubs first baseman. The 2-2. Down to first. Cecil Fielder, a Gold Glove play of his own to end the inning. 1 run for the National League in the 6th after 5.5. 5-3 American League.
Fine play by Cecil Fielder, diving to his right and taking it himself.
Maybe it's the oysters.
Oh, that was wonderful.
I have to see it. If a movie got great reviews, you'd go see it, wouldn't you? If everyone kept talking about a book, you'd probably read it. And if Automobile Magazine called this Toyota Camry the best car built in America, you'd give it a test drive, right? The 1993 Toyota Camry. Everything you've heard is true.
The philosophy I took the field with every day was play. I was born to play. I don't think I ever looked at it as a job. I'm here because baseball was a passion to me, and I think that's really what it has to be. I've been a member of the Hall of Fame since 1983, and American Express card member since 1986. It's been around for a long time, and I know that it's going to work.
American Express is welcomed in Cooperstown and a lot of other big league towns.
You're unbelievable. You're so unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable.
A message from Major League Baseball.
Scott Cooper makes his first All-Star appearance. I asked him how he found out he made the squad.
We're in our stretching group at Oakland getting ready to play the A's, and manager Butch Hobson came over and he said, "Hey, Coop, come here." And I said, "Uh-oh." And I walked over, he sat me down, he said, "I just want to let you know you've been traded to the Hiroshima Carp." I went, "Wait a minute, the Carp?" He goes, "Yeah, the Japan team." I said, "Butch, you're kidding, right?" He said, "No." He put his arm around me, he gave me a big hug and said, "Congratulations, you've been selected to the All-Star team." And right then I thought, oh my goodness. I said, "Butch, are you serious?" I said, "You wouldn't mess with me about this, would you?" He said, "No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that to you. Congratulations, you've earned it." And it was a great feeling.
And earned it he has. Scott Cooper, in his first All-Star game, batting for the man he replaced at third base in Boston, Wade Boggs. Several changes for the National League. Bobby Bonilla, the only Met in the game, is in left field.
Something symbolic about that, Bonilla replacing his best friend, Barry Bonds.
And Bonilla with the chance in left. One out. New first baseman for the National League, Andres Galarraga of the Colorado Rockies. At the hot corner, Dave Hollins of the Philadelphia Phillies. He has taken over for Sheffield. And making his first All-Star appearance now at shortstop from the Atlanta Braves, Jeff Blauser. Terry Steinbach up for the first time, facing Steve Avery. Foul tip for strike one. Steinbach, the only Oakland player selected. Some of the locals were upset that Chris Hoyle, the Oriole catcher, didn't make it. He has 18 home runs.
I think managers run into problems like that when they have to select one player from each team. We mentioned earlier 11 players representing one from each team, and Terry Steinbach one of them. Back in 1988, Terry Steinbach hitting about 85 points lower than he is this year entering the game, batting .301. He was batting .217 in the All-Star game in Cincinnati in 1988, and he hit a home run, a two-run shot off Doc Gooden early in the ball game, became the game's MVP.
So there, said Terry Steinbach. And here's the 2-2, says Steve Avery, chased a bad ball. 2 outs in the 6th. That's the first strikeout for Steve Avery, who has faced 3 batters and has retired them all. We hope you'll be tuned to CBS Sports Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Some of you will see Oakland at New York, while others get the Astros and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. That's 1 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday here on CBS. Barry Bonds will be a spectator for the rest of this one. He's looking out at Carlos Baerga, batting for the first time tonight. Saw that he has 15 home runs. 2 of those came in the same inning back on April 8th. And he became the first man in Major League history to hit a home run from each side of the plate in the same inning. Did that against the New York Yankees in Cleveland Stadium. Blauser boots it on his first All-Star chance. Just to finish the story on Baerga, with a man on and no one out in the 7th inning of that game, April 8th, against Cleveland. He homered right-handed against Steve Howe, then came up later in the inning and homered left-handed off Steve Farr.
Jeff Blauser, his first chance to field the ball in the All-Star game. Jeff with a marvelous sense of humor. I'm sure he'll have something clever to say about that.
Well, earlier in the year, he joked that last year his mother voted for Rafael Belliard at short in the National League All-Star shortstop balloting. That's Blauser's backup with Atlanta, but his mother didn't even vote for him.
Blauser also was convinced that he was going to be traded to the Colorado Rockies or taken in the expansion draft last winter. And here he is, an All-Star for the Atlanta Braves.
The second error of the ball game, both committed by a member of the Atlanta Braves. Justice made the other. Albert Bell. Single to right to drive in a run. It was on that base hit that Justice kicked it around. Bell took second, later scored in the inning. American League batting in the sixth, leading 5-3. They've out-hit the Nationals 7-5. Steve Avery's 1-0. Big hack and a miss by Bell. Product of Louisiana State University. He was a teammate there for 1 year with Ben McDonald, now of the Orioles. The Indians organization, and particularly the players, deserve a lot of credit for the way they have dealt with the terrible tragedy in spring training when Tim Cruz and Steve Olin were killed in the boating accident on Little Lake Ellie in Florida. Albert told you yesterday it took the team a while to come to grips with it. They've shown signs lately in their play that they're dealing with it a bit better.
And making the transition and trying to put it in the past, a very difficult thing to do.
Certainly the fans in Cleveland have reason for excitement. They're going to have a ballpark next year, much like this one, right in downtown Cleveland. They've already had an enormous increase in season tickets. Last year, they only had 3,500 season ticket holders. This year, 12,000. And they expect a similar jump next year when they move into the new Gateway Park. Not a bad idea to copy this place.
And get away from the mistake on the lake in Cleveland. Municipal Stadium, I would imagine, would still house the Cleveland Browns.
It will, because they own it. The 3-2 pitch with Baerga running was in the dirt for ball 4. First walk thrown by Avery. So Bell has been to the plate twice as an All-Star and has reached on each occasion. First and second with 2 down in the 6th. 5-3 American League. Here's Devon White up for the first time.
Can't really look at Devon White without thinking of that spectacular catch that he made in Game 3 of the 1992 World Series. 2 on, a near triple play, the first time since 1920 had that happen. Terry Pendleton passing Deion Sanders at second base on a ball hit by David Justice, straightaway center field at Sky Dome. One of the plays that will go down in the annals of World Series play is one of the great plays in postseason play.
Should have been a triple play.
We'll take another look at it. David Justice, the batter, first and second, nobody out. White. Wow.
The 0-2 just missed. Well, while many fans can't help but look at Devon White and think of that play, the folks watching in Cleveland, of whom we were speaking a moment ago, probably looking at Devon White and thinking that should be Kenny Lofton, the Indians' brilliant center fielder, who's hitting .321, 4th in the American League, 2nd in the league in stolen bases, but not here. White says, I'm an all-star, with a base hit down the right field line. Baerga is in. Bell stops at third. It's a double for Devon White. And a 6-3 American League lead.
The errors committed by the National League have been costly thus far. Justice's error, allowing Griffey to go to second base. He eventually scored. And now the error by Jeff Blauser allows an unearned run against Steve Avery.
Devon White in his first at-bat tonight, in his second All-Star game with a double. Bobby Cox on his way to the mound. And he'll replace Steve Avery. With the score of the American League 6, the National League 3, we'll return to Baltimore right after this.
I liked Marjorie the first day I laid eyes on her.
He was romantic even then. We started going together when we were 15.
Times were tough.
But we barely noticed.
We were married during the war.
I thought he looked handsome in a uniform.
She was right. 3 days ago, we celebrated our 50th anniversary.
He's still romantic.
With their extraordinary appetite, their keen business sense,
How do you pronounce your last name?
Conehead. It's obvious where they're from.
We come from France.
Dan Aykroyd. Hi. Jane Curtin.
The pro shop called. Your new putter has arrived.
Ah, my Hawk TrueFlex PowerPoint with graphite shaft.
Coneheads. Rated PG. Starts Friday, July 23rd at theaters everywhere.
Whoa, boy. You know, at Quality Comfort Clearing and Sleep Hotels, kids and grandkids not only get to stay free, good boy, they also get a free choice of store. Pretty cool, huh? Say, boys. So call 1-800-4CHOICE to reserve your room now, because offers like this only come once every 60 million years.
Kids stay free and get a free Choiceosaurus. Supplies are limited. Call 1-800-4CHOICE.
Soon, you'll hear it. The best long-distance service is about to get even better. It's a breakthrough from AT&T Bell Labs, and it makes AT&T sound quality vastly superior to any other long-distance company. So much clearer, closer, and more natural. Even 8 out of 10 people who don't have AT&T prefer it. AT&T True Voice, coming in the months ahead, free. Just another part of the iPlan.
The Bud One Airship, the Anheuser-Busch Aerial Ambassador, is on an 8-month tour across America. Future stops include Oshkosh, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and New York. So look for the Bud One Airship overhead near you. Downtown Baltimore, Romo Seltzer Tower on the left. They encouraged all of the businesses and hotels downtown to leave their lights on to light up the skyline for the extravaganza tonight. And at the center of this beautiful diamond is 26-year-old John Smoltz of the Atlanta Braves, 5th pitcher of the night for the National League.
One of 5 Braves chosen and relieving his teammate Steve Avery. The one thing that you have to be alive for right here is a wild pitch. Darren Daulton is not obviously used to catching Smoltz. He is used to hitting against Smoltz.
Juan Gonzalez. There it is. It got through Daulton, and Bell is in to score. As you were saying, Mr. McCarver, right on cue, it gets away from Daulton, and it's a 4-run lead for the American League.
Well, John Smoltz, those two things go together, wild pitches and John Smoltz. John Smoltz has led the National League in wild pitches the last 3 years. He crossed him up. You could see that Daulton thought it was going to be a fastball. The breaking ball went downstairs, wild pitch, and another run for the American League.
Nice call, partner. And a runner at third, Devon White. The 1-0 Gonzalez. How difficult is it to be the catcher in an all-star
game? Yeah, it's very, very difficult to catch a lot of pitchers that you've hit against, because even hitting against them, knowing what they're going to throw, catching them is an entirely different thing. John Smoltz throws awfully hard. He has a splitter, good breaking ball, very difficult to catch.
Daulton has to be exhausted. He was a part of that doubleheader a week ago Friday night that went to 4:40 a.m. Saturday. He caught all 20 innings of the Phillies game against the Dodgers last Wednesday night. He was really tired over the weekend when we were in Philadelphia. He was actually rested on Friday and Sunday, but that probably still isn't enough.
To add more grist, I think, to that wild pitch combination, Darren Daulton has had 5 knee operations. He has a very difficult time. If there is one dent in the armor, he has a tough time blocking balls.
Big hack by Gonzalez, a full count. Won the Major League home run champion last year with 43. He homered on the last day of the season to overtake Mark McGwire. Smoltz in his 3rd All-Star game misses outside at ball 4. Here's Jim Cott.
Thanks, Sean. Barry Bonds, all the pressure of the season and talking about being the best player in the game. But you guys have more fun on a night like tonight, it seems, than any other night.
Yeah, we're having a good time out there, but the American League's killing us. What can you say? We came out there strong. Everybody felt confident this time. We really wanted to do it for Bobby Cox in the National League and stuff, but, those guys are powerhouses over there and just tearing us up right now.
Barry Bonds hasn't disappointed the fans in San Francisco this year. He certainly didn't disappoint the fans tonight. A great performance by the best player in baseball. Let's go back upstairs.
And an interesting point that he made about Bobby Cox. Cox trying to avoid tonight going 0 for 4 if you count the last 2 World Series and the last 2 All-Star games. There's never been a manager who lost the World Series and then the next All-Star game, then the subsequent World Series and the next All-Star game. That's what will happen to Bobby Cox should the National League lose tonight. That's certainly no reflection on his managing, because he is, without question, one of the absolute best. Jim Fregosi alongside Herbie Puckett and Pudge Rodriguez. All this happened with 2 outs. The error by Blauser opened the door for the 2 runs the AL has scored. Cecil Fielder, a towering pop-up. It lands on our front porch. We're in the 6th. The American League leads 7-3. Largest crowd ever at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in attendance tonight. 48,147. The official attendance, largest ever in this park. It's been 35 years since Baltimore hosted the All-Star Game. Hard to believe that they turned down the chance several times since 1958 because they were afraid they couldn't sell all the seats. There's another ball to the backstop. Dalton threw it past Smoltz, and White is in safely to make it 8-3.
I think you could see here that the mobility of Darren Dalton cut down somewhat, not getting down on the ball. Another wild pitch. Certainly empathize with Darren Dalton, not only the knee operations, but coming in also the fans mocking John Smoltz here. Not really Smoltz, but I think the Atlanta Braves with the tomahawk chop. But catching a new pitcher, as Dalton is doing, you can empathize with his position.
Gonzalez moved into scoring position. 3 runs here in the 6th. Big error and 2 wild pitches now thrown by Smoltz. Cecil pops it up. Bobby Bonilla a long way in. And for the National League, the inning mercifully comes to an end. Rough inning for the Braves, Avery, Smoltz, and Blauser. 8-3 American League.
This is a line. To some, it is seen as a barrier. To others, it's a point where traditions of the past are abandoned in favor of visions of the future. Introducing the revolutionary new Toyota Supra. It's taken everything sports cars were before and crossed the line.
70 mediocampistas en béisbol profesional son de la República Dominicana. Así que, cuando ven un gran mediocampista dominicano correr por la pelota y oigan, tú sabes, como de lejos es lejos.
Airbag, seat belts, and anti-lock brakes, child safety seats, careful driving, and a set of Michelins. You can feel it deep inside, dedication and a real sense of pride, and you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser.
CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Game from Baltimore is brought to you by Toyota. I love what you do for me. The people at Nike who encourage you to just do it. And by Budweiser, proud to be your bud.
Bobby Cox trying to get in the win column in World Series or All-Star competition. Here's what he said before the game.
Tommy, listen up here a minute. Not you, Lasorda. Glavin. There's a team photo at 6:25, and I'd just like to say congratulations to everybody in here. Certainly deserve it, and would really like to win this one. Tommy and I have been talking about it in the coaching staff, and 5 in a row is too many, and we're a much better league, I think, than the American League.
But isn't it sort of silly to try to use the All-Star Game as a starting point to make an argument about which league is better?
Yeah, I do think that, but I do think also that the American League has had better young talent come into the league over the last 5 or 6 years. I think it's coincidental, possibly, that they've won 5 in a row, but I think the younger talent has drifted toward the AL in the last few years.
New pitcher is Jeff Montgomery of the Kansas City Royals. And there is a new shortstop as well. Travis Fryman of Detroit has taken over for Cal Ripken, so now all of the American League starters have been replaced. And David Justice is at the plate. Montgomery's first pitch lifted to deep right. But in front of the track, Gonzalez makes the catch. Justice is now 1 for 3 with a single, his first time up. Jeff Montgomery leads the American League in saves with 25. It's his second All-Star game. He was selected last year. Doesn't have a very good memory of San Diego. Gave up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Darren Dalton took a strike. He's bounced back to the mound and to the first baseman fielder unassisted.
Oh, good one. Good one.
That's well hit to right. Gonzalez into the corner and knocked the program right out of the hand of a fan. It's a foul ball. You can see that there is an indentation out there, and that's in play. If a ball lands in fair territory and hooks into that corner, it's in play. It's one of the quirks of this ballpark, and many times the right fielder will have to run out of the corner before he can throw back into the infield.
It seemed to me that there should be a better lighting down there in that right field corner. I mean, you could disappear for days down there.
The Orioles have actually changed in the past some of their cutoff plays to have the second baseman or shortstop run out to shallow center at an angle so that the right fielder doesn't have to run out of the corner. He can throw from the corner into the infield. Dalton strikes out. Not impressed about the indentation?
No, I do not. No. Not exactly impressed with the play on the field.
Stand up, Philly! Oh!
Jay Bell checked his swing and fouled it off. He's representing the Pirates. Andy Van Slyke was elected but could not make it due to injury. Jay Bell is here in his first All-Star game at age 27. And that's a foul ball. Bell hails from the same high school as Travis Fryman, Tate High School, the Pensacola, Florida area. Fryman was coming to play for the baseball team just as Bell was graduating. Travis Fryman was about 5'5" and 115 pounds as a sophomore in high school. The coach suggested he try second base. I think he was ready to fill Jay Bell's shoes, so Fryman's dad, Bill, got him on a regimen of climbing ropes to build up his strength. Fryman became the shortstop at Tate High School. And the rest, as they say, is history.
And Jay Bell became the second baseman tonight. Normally a shortstop for the Pirates and a good one.
Bell and Fryman did renew their acquaintance before the game tonight on the field. We saw them shaking hands, as did our crew. Nothing gets by our producer, Bob Dekas, our director, Bob Fishman, the rest of our all-star cast of CBS technicians and production personnel. (8-3) American League. We're in the top of the 7th. 2 outs and the base is empty. And a pop-up. Scott Cooper wondering if it will ever come down. And it does. Montgomery works a 1-2-3 inning. 7th inning stretch here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. 8-3 American League.
Proudly presents All Around Champions.
Kirby Puckett seems to handle his cue stick as well as he handles his baseball bat, especially when it comes to his annual celebrity billiards tournament to raise money for children with heart problems. When Kirby gets his friends together for this event, the pool room becomes a magical place for youngsters to gather. Toyota is pleased to salute all-around champion Kirby Puckett by contributing $1,000 to the Children's Heart Fund of Minnesota.
Do you want to fly where there are no runways? Do you want to swing where no one has swung before? Or do you want to surf where there is no ocean? And get yourself a Toyota 4Runner, because where you're headed, you don't want to be driving anything less.
If you were at the game right now, you'd be standing up and singing and taking part in a time-honored tradition, the 7th inning stretch. But you're not at the game, so honor another tradition. Head to the fridge, grab yourself a Coke. We won't even make you sing.
This Nike commercial is boring.
It's just Bo in a gym.
I can do that.
Where are the dancing girls?
Where's the singer?
I missed the montage style of editing.
It's just Bo in a gym.
Only a Nike commercial in a barbershop would be more boring.
Even Nike's not that dumb.
Athlete's foot. Many types of fungus cause it. To cure it all, you've got to kill it all. Today, there's broad-spectrum Lotrimin AF. It kills all types of athlete's foot fungus. Lotrimin AF, the cure that gets it all.
A look back at the 1971 All-Star Game.
There's a long drive. That one is going way up. It is off the roof. That hit the transformer up there. A tremendous smash. Only 8 players have hit the ball over the roof there in Detroit. And Jackson nearly did it then out of the ballpark.
Reggie did it again yesterday. Hit one over everything and right out on a Utah street that runs behind the right field bleachers. New pitcher for the National League of the 7th inning stretch. The San Francisco Giants' Rod Beck making his first ever All-Star appearance.
And one of the big reasons that San Francisco is in first place by 9 games with the best record in baseball.
He's pitching to a new catcher, Mike Piazza, the rookie from the Dodgers, and the first pitch up and in to Greg Vaughn. Here's Piazza. Might as well engrave the Rookie of the Year trophy in the National League right now for that man. And one other change to tell you about. Tony Gwynn of San Diego is now in right, replacing David Justice. On a base hit. In his first All-Star at bat tonight, Greg Vaughn with a base hit to left.
Greg Vaughn representing the Milwaukee Brewers, their only representative. The Brewers last year giving the Toronto Blue Jays a run for their money, but have fallen on hard times this year.
Well, that's been the spot on the batting order tonight for the American League. Puckett hit 6th and played left field to start the game with 2 for 3 with a homer and a double and 2 runs batted in. They're 3 for 4 out of the number 6 spot. Vaughn in his first ever All-Star at bat with a base hit to left. And now Travis Fryman An All-Star for the second time. He made it last year. Just 24 years old. Cal Ripken was the first to say that Fryman probably should have been the starter at short this year for the American League. We're at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland, for the 64th All-Star Classic. The American League trying to make it 6 wins in a row in All-Star Game competition. They lead 8-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Sean McDonough, along with Tim McCarver, Jim Cott, and Pat O'Brien. Happy to have you with us for the best of the All-Star Games in major sports in North America. A ball and a strike on Fryman. Rod Beck, just 24 years old. 4th in the National League with his 24 saves. His first All-Star game. It's just his second full season in the majors. Fryman bounced it foul.
Rod Beck developing a split finger fastball, and that has really helped a guy with pretty ordinary stuff, but that splitter makes him devastating.
Popped up. Blauser near second base. Makes the catch for the first out of the 7th.
Right-handed reliever, right-handed pitchers in general really have to work on left-handed hitters to develop a pitch to get them out. And Rod Beck has done that. Left-handers batting only 186 against Beck this year. And the left-handed hitters against Beck have struck out over a third of the time, 31 times and 92 at-bats. And that was the splitter right there.
A strike to Scott Cooper. Cooper and the Red Sox made quite a run leading up to the All-Star break. Without Roger Clemens, with the Rocket on the disabled list, they went 15-4 to go from 13 games out in the AL East to only 3 games out at the break. What a turnaround for Butch Hobson's Chargers.
Cooper trying to take advantage of the hole. He just pulls it foul.
Eliciting a dance from Bob Davidson, first base umpire. 0-2 on Cooper. He was hitting up in the 350s in early May and then was hit on the right wrist by a pitch by Detroit's David Wells, and he says it's still sore. Greg Vaughn at first with 1 out. 7th inning, 8-3 American League. The ball outside, 1-2 on Cooper.
Talked about the 186 batting average to left-handed batters. You may be wondering what the All-Star batting average is. All time since 1933, the All-Star batting averages since 33, 64 years, 243. So pitchers have clearly dominated the All-Star games. By the way, that 243 average, the exact average of catcher slash linguist slash spy Mo Berg.
I thought you were going to say Bob Uecker when you got to the
no, Bob wasn't that high.
Spy part.
You kidding? 243?
That's true. As the Uke would be the first to admit.
Bob's was good at ERA, but he wasn't a pitcher.
A perfect 2.00.
About Mo Berg, they said he could speak 7 languages, but couldn't hit in any of them.
Cooper strikes out. So Beck continues to be tough on left-handed hitters. John Smoltz was the immediate predecessor of Rod Beck. He pitched the 3rd of an inning, but it was eventful. Walked 1 and threw 2 wild pitches. John's the 3rd pitcher with 2 wild pitches in an inning in All-Star play. Juan Marichal uncorked 2 in the same inning in 1962, and Dave Stieb threw 2 in an inning in 1980. Barry Steinbach sends it out of play. Terry's from New Ulm, Minnesota, and is the all-time leading scorer in ice hockey
at New Ulm High School. Still makes it home in Minnesota. That's the deep right. It sends Gwynn to the wall. He leaps and can't get it. It's backed up by Bobby Kelly. Vaughn is in to score. Now they have Steinbach caught between second and third. Hollins applies the tag, and that ends the inning. But it's another run for the American League on a double for Steinbach.
Fine try by Tony Gwynn. Nicely backed up by Bobby Kelly. Another run for the American League.
70 mediocampistas en béisbol profesional son de la República Dominicana. Así que, cuando ven un gran mediocampista dominicano correr por la pelota y oigan, tú sabes, como de lejos es lejos.
Besides being an educator, Jim Elkins is a collector of antiques and an occasional Montana trout. Having owned a dozen Toyota cars, Jim naturally made the T100 his first Toyota truck. Your typical big truck owner? No. But then the T100 is not your typical truck. Observe the Detroit Free Press. The cabin reminds one of the Toyota Camry in equipment and comfort. The Toyota T100 puts you in a whole new class.
Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez are on another stakeout with Rosie O'Donnell.
I think that Bill should shave his mustache.
I have had this mustache for 13 years. How long have you had yours?
Another stakeout rated PG-13. Sneak preview Saturday, July 17th.
High-performance cars, luxury performance cars, family cars, light trucks. If you've got the car, Michelin's got the tire.
Later this summer, look for David Letterman on CBS.
You know, if you remove the glass from your television set, you can feed me peanuts.
Hey, it's summer. It's time to get into the cold. Tune into CBS each Monday in July for the coolest episodes of Northern Exposure. Sponsored by Miller Genuine Draft. And stay cool. This collection of the coolest rock classics. Look for details wherever you see this display from Miller Genuine Draft. Northern Exposure on CBS. It's a cool place to be.
This game summary is sponsored by Nike.
And a look at some of the individual performances tonight. Kirby Puckett was 2 for 3 with a homer and an RBI double. His first 2 extra base hits and first 2 runs batted in ever in All-Star play. Gary Sheffield did a 2-run homer and added a single later. John Smoltz pitched a third of an inning, but uncorked 2 wild pitches to tie an All-Star game record for wild pitches in an inning. Changes to tell you about, most notably the new cameraman in center field. And he's focusing in, we think, on Rick Aguilera of the Minnesota Twins. He's the 6th pitcher of the night for the American League. American League pitchers have had a good night. They've only allowed 2 hits and faced 2 men more than the minimum since the 2nd inning. The bird's a little shaky in center field. Bobby Kelly took a strike. They've replaced the bird on the center field camera, so you don't have to worry about going tablets in the bathroom.
And Kelly has replaced his name. Roberto Kelly last year driving in 2 runs as an American leaguer, and this year is Bobby Kelly. He was the player to be named later.
He was. That was a good trade, Roberto for Bobby. Roberto Kelly started this year with Cincinnati, hitting .227 in 10 games. He's hit .333 since he's gone by Bobby. He's out on the strikeout for the first out of the 8th inning. Now Bobby Bonilla hasn't smiled much since going to New York, but reason to smile tonight as he's an all-star once again.
So Bobby Bonilla needs with the season that the Mets are having, the worst record in baseball, and he comes to Camden Yards and is on the short end of a 9-3 ball game now.
Well, he's used to that.
Has been this year and last year. The Mets very competitive from 84 through 90, and the last year and a half just have been dreadful for that franchise.
And dreadful for Bonilla. He's been there for a year and a half. Signed a big contract, $29 million over 5 years. Said when he arrived, "You'll never wipe the smile off my face." But they have. But it seems that things are starting to pick up for him. Dallas Green says he's really worked very hard since Green took over as manager.
I think Dallas Green had a positive effect on Bobby Bonilla.
And there's a base hit. Past the outstretched Carlos Baerga. Let's check in with Jim Cott.
I'm with the hero of Baltimore, obviously, Cal Ripken. We talked before the game, and I asked you what you thought it might be like when you got that standing ovation. It had to be everything you dreamed it would be.
That was terrific. I've been through a lot of great moments in my short baseball career so far, but that has to be the number one. I couldn't even describe the feeling. It made me feel that good.
Well, he's had an awful lot of thrills, so you know how that ranks with all of Cal Ripken's. Let's go back upstairs.
Dave Hollins up for the first time from the Philadelphia Phillies, their third baseman. There's a base hit. Down the right field line. Bonilla on his way to third. He'll be held. Hollins hustling for two. He's there safely. Gets away from Fryman, but not far enough for Bonilla to try to come in. That's the 10th extra base hit between these two teams in the ball game, and that ties the All-Star Game record for most extra base hits for both teams. There were 10 in the 34 game at the Polo Grounds and 10 in 1951 at Detroit. So you have to go a long way back, over 40 years, since there were this many extra base hits in a Midsummer Classic.
And remember, that 34 game was the game in which Carl Hubble struck out the 5 Hall of Famers in a row.
The National League drubbed last year and on the short end of a 9-3 score at the moment, trying to climb back into it with 2 men in scoring position and 1 out for the National League's leading hitter. First rocky at bat of an All-Star Game for Andres Galarraga. He hopes it won't be rocky. Like John Olerud, Andres says he doesn't think 400 is realistic, but he definitely has his eyes on the National League batting crown. Popped up, not deep enough, one would think, for Bonilla to try it. Fryman the catch, and Bobby doesn't move more than a step or two from the bag.
Two expansion cities. Gary Sheffield, a home run, his first at bat as an expansion player. Andres Galarraga, the leading hitter in the National League, popping up his first time. He has not been doing that a lot this year, I'll tell you that.
Now Jeff Blauser, been the one consistent Atlanta hitter throughout this year. That .311 average, making his first All-Star appearance. It's really happened for him toward the end of last year. On August 7th last year, he's hitting .211, but he hit .326 the rest of the way and has picked right up in 1993, where he left off in 92. 0-2 the count. Talk about the Rockies. Blauser earlier this year went 9 for 17 in a series against the Rockies. Joe Girardi, the Colorado catcher, said Blauser's hitting like Babe Ruth, to which Blauser replied, "I hope not. Babe Ruth's dead." Rick Aguilera, the 31-year-old, in his third All-Star game. That's his high. It's 1-2. Mike Piazza, the only Dodger here. And our hearts go out to all the members of the Dodger family with the recent tragedies that they've endured, the deaths of Roy Campanella and Don Drysdale. Blauser strikes out, ending the inning. They threatened but do not score. Aguilera got them to lead 2 in scoring position. Bottom of the 8th. 9-3 American League.
Every season is more of a physical challenge, but after 26 years in the majors, I've learned to take care of myself. Like now, when my muscles are sore, I take Advil. Just a couple of Advil, and I'm ready to go another 9 innings. To last as long as I have, you got to stick with what works.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
A master of ancient wisdom.
Every aspect of your appearance and behavior will reflect on you, on the department, and on me as your senpai.
A cop who learned his lessons on the street.
That wouldn't happen to be anything like Master now, would it?
The department would never have made them partners.
Evidence points to a Japanese perpetrator.
But this murder did.
They won't get away with this.
Rising Sun, July 30th. Rated R.
Powered by a 4-valve per-cylinder fuel-injected V8. The Lexus Coupe leaves us with 2 options. We can either build slower cars or run shorter commercials.
What's IBM doing for customers these days? Ask Tower Records.
The music in our stores has to match our customers' tastes. IBM checkout systems help make that possible.
Ask Kurtz.
To be number 1, you have to know what customers want. An IBM system tracks that for us nationwide.
Ask Domino's Pizza.
Our IBM system doesn't make your pizza, but it makes sure we always have the toppings you want on it.
You want happier customers? Talk to us. There's never been a better time to do business with IBM.
Arnold Palmer, Chichi Rodriguez, and the field of living legends. The Ameritech Senior Open this weekend on CBS Sports.
Friends, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Back here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver. Tim, this is 2 pretty good drubbings in a row for the National League at the hands of the American League.
Yeah, the first 4 years were close ball games when they won the first 4 in a row, and now 2 in a row. And we mentioned earlier that the younger players coming into the American League, coming into this game, the National League had won 37 games, the American League 25, but the gap keeps getting closer, does it not?
Indeed, it does. During one stretch, the National League won 30 out of 36. But barring a big comeback, it'll be 6 wins in a row for the American League. It's a former American leaguer on the mound after amassing more saves than anybody in a California Angels uniform. Brian Harvey, now a member of the Florida Marlins. Carlos Baerga greets Harvey. There's the trademark from Harvey, the split-fingered pitch. Baerga chased it down to the dirt. Harvey's 30 years old, from Catawba, North Carolina. In his second All-Star game, selected to the American League squad while a member of the Angels in '91, but did not pitch in the game in Toronto. So this is his first actual stint in All-Star competition. Carlos Baerga reached on that error by Blauser with 2 outs in the 6th that opened the door for the 3 runs. He chopped it foul into the stands just beyond the first base dugout. The Indians have made an effort to sign all of their talented young players to long-term contracts, and they succeeded in that effort with Carlos Baerga. He is signed through 1998. With the club option for 1999, if he stays through 1999, he'll make $26 million over that. Albert Bell is also signed to a long-term deal. He agreed to a 4-year extension earlier this year. The future is bright for Cleveland as the Indians look toward their new park next year.
That's a splitter grip right there.
And there it is. Frank Thomas is coming up for the first time. Here's what his Little League coach told us.
I remember most of his teammates were afraid of his hitting. They didn't want to pitch batting practice to him, and I wasn't too wild about doing it either. But just judging from the prolific home runs that he used to hit out in the tops of those Georgia pines and the way he used to throw people out at first base from center field, I knew he was going to be a great player.
Coach Key was right. Frank Thomas, Columbus, Georgia native, in his first All-Star game. Hard to believe with all that he's accomplished. This is his first trip to the All-Star game.
20 home runs this year, and if he hits a home run tonight, it will be the first home run ever hit by a White Sox player in 178 at-bats. Wow.
How about the Marlins? They got one of their first at-bats.
Yeah, right. Gary Sheffield pops one out his first at-bat as an expansion player, and the White Sox have never hit a home run, and considering the fact that Comiskey Park was the first All-Star Game site back in 1933.
Well, Thomas, the candidate to do it. He was a candidate to be a great football player as well. Played 1 year of football at Auburn for Coach Pat Dye as a tight end. Decided to give it up to concentrate on baseball, but Pat Dye said he would have been an All-American tight end had he continued with it, and probably would have been an All-Pro tight end in the NFL, in Dye's opinion. Pat Dye said Thomas had the same ability at tight end as Bo Jackson had at running back.
Wow.
Coach Dye, of course, coached Bo Jackson as well in football. Frank's got the size for it at 6'5", 257. Over the mound, Jay Bell, backhanded, bobbled it momentarily. Thomas is safe, and probably would have been even without the bobble.
Frank is not a slow runner. You mentioned his excelling as a tight end. He gets down the line very well for a big man. Bobbled by Bell, but I agree with you. That ball's a base hit anyway.
And it has been scored. The base hit. Devon White looks at a strike. So with the appearance of Thomas, every position player for the American League squad has appeared in the ballgame. 3 pitchers have not worked for the AL: Pat Henkin, Mike Messina, and Wayne Ward. Greg Jeffries of the National League, the only position player yet to appear. 3 of their pitchers have not entered: Glass, Darrell Kyle, and Lee Smith. They get the out on Thomas at second, Blauser to Bell, and safe on the fielder's choice is Devon White.
Now, Jim Palmer, one of the honorary captains, along with Frank Robinson. We have seen Frank as a first base coach. Jim with 267 wins in his illustrious career. I don't think I've ever seen him happier, beaming from ear to ear tonight, and is not in the park in which he pitched, but in the town in which he pitched.
Well, I don't know if the National Leaguers will appreciate this. White running with his team up by 6 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Oh, they were playing behind him at first base. You could see Galarraga behind White, thinking he's not going to run. About a 9-3 ball game. Usually you call off the dogs, but Devon White stealing second uncontested. Throw by Piazza way low.
Now to the mound, Piazza, to speak with Brian Harvey. With Juan Gonzalez at the plate, and a count of 1 strike, 2 outs, bottom of the 8th, 9-3 American League. Waiting for some action out there.
Yeah.
Foul ground and right with the glove.
His binoculars to see the action, though.
Hopefully he won't need them as the ball approaches, or he's in big trouble.
Very unusual combination, a glove and binoculars.
Well, there's somebody who can hit it far enough enough away to where the fans are sitting who require binoculars. It's Juan Gonzalez. He hit one estimated at 473 feet here yesterday off the facing of the triple deck in left field. The longest home run of the home run derby. He hit one 455 off the wall in center field. It provides the backdrop for the hitters way over the center field fence. 2-2 on Gonzalez. Andy Van Slyke, voted in by the fans, but unable to play. Pittsburgh will host the All-Star Game next year.
Then in 1995, the new ballpark down in Texas.
Gonzalez strikes out to end the inning. We head to the ninth. Last chance for the National League. They're down by 6.
The new Lexus GS is equipped with a vehicle speed-sensitive steering system so responsive that it actually improves your feel for the road. Now, the only thing more exhilarating than watching the Lexus GS is driving it. The new GS.
The hands, to me, are the most important part of sports. And I began to realize my hands was quick when I started picking cotton. At that time, blacks could not play in the major leagues. In my mind, I was saying, this is something I really want. And sure enough, in 1953, I signed with the Cubs. I've been a member of the Hall of Fame since 1977. I've been an American Express card member since 1989.
American Express is welcomed at the Hall of Fame and anywhere else people go to dream.
This may seem like any other day, but it's not. Because now people will be able to talk to one another in a brand new way. That's because across the U.S. and Canada, leading cellular communications companies have joined together to create MobileLink, a new standard in cellular service. So now, whenever you need to stay in touch, MobileLink will make it as simple as a phone call. MobileLink. Hello. It's simply the way to communicate. To order service today, call your MobileLink provider.
I try to treat the people that I deal with like I would expect to be treated myself.
You have to understand people. You have to understand what their needs are.
Deliver more than you promise and hang in there till you get the job done.
Century 21, rated most professional in real estate.
Why use Valvoline Motor Oil? For their race cars and their own cars, Valvoline is the #1 choice of race mechanics, from Indy 500 to Daytona 500 to NHRA to Baja to SCCA.
A great moment in the All-Star Game from '66.
And there's a line drive over the head. O'Legal will come up with it. He's got a good arm. Here comes McCarver. The play is at the plate. McCarver will score. The game is over.
Who was that speed demon rounding third and heading for home?
Yeah, that's the old cliche. Runs well for a catcher.
We're rounding third and heading for home in this one, 9-3 in favor of the American League. And Dwayne Ward came on from the bullpen during the break between innings, and he was loudly booed because the Baltimore fans here want to see Mike Messina of the Orioles, who's warming up. And they're chanting, "We want Mike," as Ward gets ready to face the National League in the top of the ninth. Greg Jeffries. Now every position player has gotten in the ball game as Jeffries sends one foul into the stands. Greg, a late addition to the squad when Robbie Thompson, who was selected originally, could not play due to a quadricep muscle injury.
It's a comfortable situation for Cito Gaston with his team up by 6 runs, and I think we're going to see Messina before this inning's over.
He and Pat Hentgen of Toronto are the only American leaguers who have not appeared.
Manager does not have to worry about extra innings here, so it would not be an embarrassment. The only position player that can come back after leaving the game in case there's an injury is the catching position.
Dwayne Ward in his first All-Star appearance. For many years he was the setup man for Tom Henke. Blue Jays let Henke go to Texas via free agency, confident in the knowledge that Ward could handle the closer role that he has. 22 saves at the All-Star break, a club record. And Jeffries a strikeout victim for the first out of the National League ninth. The 194-foot Bud 1 airship, which is using its eye-in-the-sky camera to bring you these pictures from 1,000 feet above Camden Yards, will next travel to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the Oshkosh Air Show. Tony Gwynn, the batter. Fans mumbled a bit when Messina was not summoned. Perhaps we're going to save him for the final out. But if he doesn't come in, they may boo when the final out is made when the American League wins in an American League park.
That's right.
Gwynn in his 9th All-Star game. His 5th straight. They're even booing wild pitches now by Toronto players. Of course, not officially a wild pitch. Aceto just shaking his head in amusement. Perhaps amusement. That probably isn't the word that applies. Matter of fact, it's not even close. The only time Tony Gwynn wasn't an All-Star in the last 10 years was 1988. He's a 6-time starter. Chopped to Travis Fryman at short. Dug out by his teammate Fielder. The American League is 1 out away from its 6th straight win.
I'll tell you, it would take a lot of courage for him not to make the move right now.
Well, why wouldn't you bring him in?
Exactly. Why have him warming up if you're not going to bring him in? Cito, you're being booed.
And the game is for the fans. And if he's doing just despite the 48,000 people plus that are here, it's a lousy decision. Why wouldn't you bring him in? For the most part, we've defended the fact that there are 7 Blue Jays on this squad because you can make an argument for each of them.
That's right.
Even though you could perhaps make a stronger argument for some of those who are bypassed, like Kettleton and Lofton and Ricky Henderson. But there is no defending this decision. Messina's unable to pitch in the game. Why bother even having him warm up?
That's right.
Mike Piazza, the batter. I tell you what, it'll be a long time before the fans in this city forget this. Cito's going to hear about it every time he brings the Blue Jays back to Baltimore. The 0-2 pitch. He struck him out. And they will, in fact, boo an American League victory in Baltimore. And on this subject, they have reason to boo. This is the first time that one league has won 2 consecutive All-Star games, each by 6 runs or more. That's what the American League has done in winning its 6th straight. The final score, 9-3. We'll have more from Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore right after this.
Mother Nature sets up the shot. Oh, she got all of that one.
True Test paint is made to withstand the worst weather.
There's another fine play.
Including golf ball-sized hail.
Mother Nature can do no wrong.
Remember, when it comes to the weather, Mother Nature never yells for. True Test paints, only at True Value. Select Weatherall paints are now at the lowest prices of the year at participating stores.
Athlete's foot. Many types of fungus cause it. To cure it all, you've got to kill it all. Today, there's broad-spectrum Lotrimin AF. It kills all types of athlete's foot fungus. Lotrimin AF, the cure that gets it all.
I learned to hit with the broomstick and ball cap. That cap would spin and curve, and that made me a good hitter. What I enjoyed most was putting the uniform on every day, just playing baseball. One of the greatest honors of baseball, getting in a Hall of Fame. Well, I've been American Express member since 1974.
American Express is welcomed at the Hall of Fame, and a lot of other places that bring out the kid in you.
Here's one way to make your all-purpose vehicle a true all-terrain vehicle. Here's another, the Goodyear Wrangler GSA with triple traction. It's like getting 3 tires in one. You get an area for quiet highway traction, for wet weather traction, and for rugged off-road traction from Goodyear. Wherever you drive, on the road, off the road, down the highways, wet or dry, get the tire that's like 3 tires in one. Wrangler GSA, only from Goodyear. You'll know why we like to say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Oakland A's take on the New York Yankees, or see the Houston Astros battle the St. Louis Cardinals.
Finals, Saturday on CBS.
A struggle against floods in the Midwest and a killer heat wave in the East. Blood, sweat, and tears. Dan Rather reports on an all-new 48 Hours, Wednesday.
CBS Sports coverage of the 64th All-Star Game from Baltimore is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. The American Express card. Don't leave home without it. And by Mobile Link Cellular Service. It's simply the way to communicate.
Welcome back to Camden Yards, and even though the score was 9-3 American League, Cito Gaston didn't gain any fans here tonight. In fact, they booed him as the game completed. 9-3, the American League wins 6 in a row. But this ball yard gained a lot of fans, and so did Kirby Puckett. He is now with Kitty Cott. Jim?
Pat, he's got fans everywhere. I'm with Kirby Puckett, Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the 1993 All-Star Game. And to make a special presentation, Bud Feely, Sales Manager of Chevrolet. Bud?
Thank you, Jim. Kirby, on behalf of Chevrolet and our dealers throughout all of North America, we're delighted to present to you this Chevrolet Most Valuable Player trophy.
Thanks, Bud.
And in addition, these keys to a brand new 1993 Chevrolet Astro van that will be donated in your name to the charity of your choice.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you very much. Kirby, you've been to 8 of these All-Star games, and every one but one, you've been on a winner, and you American Leaguers seem to have more fun. You're so loose in this atmosphere.
Well, we just come to play. You know, we got a lot of young talent over here, and you know, they got a lot of pride in the clubhouse, Kitty, and the guys come here to win, and they make it known. A lot of young guys, too, say, I ain't come all the way on this plane to lose, so try to go out and just be the best we can and do the best we can, and we came out on top again this year.
And, you know, your average is beginning to creep up near All-Star time, and tonight, I guess, a good indication, swung the bat well.
I've been swinging the bat well the last week and a half or so. I've been feeling really good at the plate, and didn't try to do anything different today, but just go out and just swing it and have fun.
All right, congratulations to Kirby Puckett in Baltimore. Thanks for being a great host. Let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
I agree, Kitty, and some people were questioning whether Kirby Puckett should even be here tonight, and he answered that with his performance. CBS Sports coverage will return after a message and a word from your very own local station. Stay with us.